If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 181, The Successor of Ideology. Zetsu looked at the red-haired kid in front of him with an expression of utter astonishment. He never expected such a move. Although he had been promoted, after hearing Uzumaki Jun's words, Zetsu realized that the things he had done over the past 1,000 years were simply unworthy of his title as the millennium-old mastermind of the shinobi world. What kind of education did you even receive? Zetsu said helplessly, staring at Uzumaki Jun. How are you so scheming? To think of playing both the good guy and the bad guy at the same time. Why hadn't he thought of this back then? If he had done this earlier, he would have already inherited the ninja creed passed down by the Sage of Six Paths, unified the shinobi world, collected the nine-tailed beasts, and then waited patiently for the Rinnegan to appear. Why end up like this now? Becoming a little kid's errand boy? Aren't you afraid of being exposed? If that happened, Uzumaki might truly be wiped off the map of the shinobi world. No matter whether you were the god of shinobi or not, as long as you threatened the interests of the entire shinobi world, you would eventually be attacked by all the shinobi. I know nothing about this, Uzumaki Jun said righteously, looking at Zetsu. All of this was done by you and Uchiha Shin. Zetsu had a string of curses in his heart. No wonder he was the one being sent to establish the organization. This was the reason. But won't this violate the interests of the shinobi world? Zetsu frowned. Aren't you afraid the organization will be destroyed before it even takes shape? Although Uzumaki was doing the same thing, you were only stirring up trouble within your own country. As long as you didn't encroach on their interests, no one would bother with you. But now, you're planning to mess with the entire shinobi world. It's fine, Uzumaki Jun said with a mysterious smile. Right now is a time of war. No shinobi village will pay attention. Moreover, before you truly become a force to be reckoned with, the other villages won't care. Even if you do become influential, as long as you don't pose a threat to them and no one commissions the villages to act, they won't interfere. Even if someone does commission a mission, only one village will step forward, and the situation won't be serious. By the time the organization gains momentum and power, who knows how many years will have passed. Though a single spark can start a prairie fire, by that time, the spark will have already turned into a raging flame. Hadn't he seen how the Akatsuki was only destroyed because it threatened Hanzo's rule when it was first founded? After Nagato took over, as long as the other villages didn't know their goals, only a few people investigated them. By the time they learned they were collecting tailed beasts, the 5 great shinobi villages were still doing their own thing, never even considering an alliance. Until the very end. Who knew how many years later, when Nagato was already dead, did the 5 Kage finally unite? So, if you want the organization to be crushed, who knows how many years it'll take. But right now, the organization only has a few strong members, Zetsu said, glancing at Uzumaki Jun. And most of them were just his alter egos. It can't support an entire organization. Ah, then you'll have to recruit people yourself, Uzumaki Jun said with a smile, narrowing his eyes. I'll leave this organization to you, but don't forget our grand goal. To save the suffering people of the shinobi world. Zetsu looked at Uzumaki Jun with an aching liver. Stop talking, I feel like punching someone. Don't worry, your hard work and contributions will not be forgotten by the organization, Uzumaki Jun said solemnly. We will never let our members shed both sweat and blood. Currently, there was a forbidden zone in the shinobi world that no one could touch the interests of shinobi. Although Uzumaki had already crossed that line, it was only within its own territory. As long as Uzumaki didn't demonstrate overwhelming vitality, no one would care. But if the entire shinobi world did the same thing, then no one would care whether you were a peace organization or not. As long as you threatened their interests, you would be labeled evil. This was also because the suffering masses had yet to grasp power of their own. Even in Naruto, when Naruto first saw scientific ninja tools, he resisted them. On one hand, they went against the traditional values of shinobi, because you could wield great power without rigorous training, which was detrimental to shinobi development. On the other hand, the emergence of such tools posed a huge threat to the status of shinobi. If ordinary people gained power, who would still commission missions from shinobi villages? It wasn't until later, when the Otsutsuki clan proved so formidable that they couldn't win without scientific ninja tools, that he finally compromised. After all, the destruction of the world was far more terrifying. So, I'll leave all of this to you, Uzumaki Jun said earnestly, patting Zetsu's shoulder. Believe in us. This is all for the peace of the shinobi world. Don't worry, when the time comes, I'll lead the Akatsuki and the 5 great shinobi villages to besiege you. Zetsu cursed internally. Early June, year 32 of Konoha's calendar. Some time had passed, and Tsunagakure had not leaked any news about the disappearance of the second Kazekage. It seemed they had completely sealed off the information. None of the other villages received any word, only hearing Tsunagakure's official statement that the second Kazekage, due to old age, had voluntarily stepped down and passed the title to his disciple before retiring behind the scenes. Rumor had it he was now fishing and enjoying his retirement at a scenic spot in Tsunagakure's back mountains. To think the next Kazekage would end up being Sandame's disciple, Uzumaki Jun chuckled, shaking his head. It seems Tsunagakure was forced into a corner. Among the younger generation, there were hardly any who could shoulder the mantle of Kazekage, especially during wartime. If the leader of a village lacked strength, it would be a joke. Moreover, this move also helped conceal Sandame's disappearance. But Uzumaki Jun gazed at the corpse stored in his system and murmured, I wonder how long you can keep this hidden. The one holding the initiative now was him, the daimyo of Uzumaki. Jun and I, today we recruited over 50 people, a spiky orange-haired boy said as he walked over, his face bright with joy. Most of them are kids. Uzumaki Jun patted Yahiko's head and smiled. Yahiko, you're amazing. But why didn't you go back to Uzumaki with them? There's so much more delicious food and fun things there. The second batch had already been sent to Uzumaki, but Yahiko and his father had chosen to stay. Because I want to help them, Yahiko said with a smile, scratching the back of his head. I'm afraid they might misunderstand Uzumaki. I believe Uzumaki can give them a good life. This kid's ideological awareness is impressively high. After just a few meals, he already trusts them so much. Uzumaki Jun patted Yahiko's head and said seriously, you'll become an outstanding successor of Uzumaki ideology. Even before receiving ideological education, he's already so patriotic. Not bad, not bad. Hehe, Yahiko chuckled sheepishly, rubbing his head. It's because Kyokone and Jun and I are such good people. The people here are nice, and their words are pleasant to hear. I really like this place. Chapter 182, The Senju clan is Konoha's family. Konoha battlefield. Clan leader, enough. Senju Shikuma knelt before Senju Toshiki with tears in his eyes. It's already enough. The Senju clan has sacrificed too much. He didn't understand why the clan leader kept sending clansmen to the front lines. Even the clan elders did not stop him and instead silently agreed, marching to the front lines themselves. But from the start of the war until now, too many Senju clansmen had died. From a large clan of several hundred in Konoha, they had been reduced to only a few dozen people. Enough. Senju Shikuma prostrated himself, pressing his head tightly against the ground. The Senju clan cannot continue like this. If it really must be done, then let me go before the Hokage and take the blame. He didn't understand why the clan leader was doing this. Was it really just because the Senju clan was Konoha's family? Why must the Senju clan sacrifice so much? Ah! Senju Toshiki looked at Senju Shikuma and sighed, his eyes filled with sorrow. Get up! Get up now! Clan leader Senju Shikuma did not rise, still keeping his head lowered. He didn't notice a drop of water land on his hand until it was too late. Realizing what it might be, his heart clenched. He raised his head and saw the tears in Senju Toshiki's eyes. His lips parted. But he didn't know what to say. The clan leader's eyes were red. He slowly closed them and said calmly, it is enough. The Senju clan has given enough. Senju Toshiki smiled faintly, his eyes still closed. Now, no one should have any complaints about the Senju. Senju Shikuma listened to the clan leader's words and suddenly understood what he intended to do. His pupil shrank. Clan leader, you. Before he could finish, Senju Toshiki opened his eyes and stared sharply at Senju Shikuma. Immediately issue the order to. Everything should be fine on the front lines, right? Orochimaru looked at the Konoha Jonin beside him. Be extra vigilant during this period. After the news of the Mangekyo resurfaced, the pressure on Konoha increased drastically. Nearly every major and minor ninja village in the shinobi world had declared war on Konoha. This great ninja war was essentially the entire shinobi world attacking Konoha. So they needed to guard against Iwagakure taking advantage of the situation. With the current shortage of troops on this battlefield, some forces had been diverted elsewhere. There haven't been any issues. One of the defensive points is held by the Senju clan. The Jonin nodded. They have been resisting large numbers of Iwanin on the front lines. The Senju clan. Orochimaru's eyes flickered at the mention of the Senju. Truly worthy of the first Hokage and second Hokage's clan. Their love for Konoha ran deep. In all of Konoha, no other clan would fight so fiercely for the village. Yes. The Jonin sighed. Truly one of Konoha's great clans. But I heard their losses have been extremely heavy. Tap tap. Orochimaru drummed his fingers on the table, frowning as he fell into thought. He didn't know what his teacher intended to do with the Senju clan, but the frontline troops couldn't be moved carelessly. Any redeployment would weaken certain defenses, which could lead to trouble. For now, they could only wait until their forces were fully assembled before engaging Iwagakure in a decisive battle. Where has that idiot Jiraiya run off to now? Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Konoha is at war, yet he's still wandering around aimlessly. Finally, he sighed. Send more medics to the Senju clan. No matter what, the Senju clan is Tsunade's clan. Understood. The ninja straightened and turned to leave, but Lord Orochimaru. A Jonin rushed in, looking panicked. The Senju clan, the Senju clan. What is it? Orochimaru frowned. Why are you so flustered? What happened to the Senju clan? The Jonin took a deep breath, his face filled with shock. The Senju clan. They've been wiped out. Uzumaki Jun stared at Senju Toshiki, his liver aching. This in just a short time, the Senju clan had been reduced to only a few dozen people? And most of them were children. Did they have to be so extreme? Even if Konoha didn't welcome them, couldn't they just move somewhere else? Why fight so desperately? The Senju are Konoha's Senju. Senju Toshiki seemed to guess Uzumaki Jun's thoughts. He sighed. I cannot let the Senju clan be disgraced. So you decided to send the entire clan to their deaths? Uzumaki Jun looked helplessly at Senju Toshiki. So you only intend to leave a few survivors for the Senju clan? Uzashiagakure needed adult laborers, not. I didn't expect you to bring such young children to the battlefield. Uzumaki Jun glanced at the Senju children before him. The youngest was only about 5 years old. His heart ached. What do you plan to do now? He understood Senju Toshiki's decision. Though he didn't agree, he couldn't help but feel shocked. Truly worthy of the Senju clan. The clan leader hesitated, his face conflicted. Finally, he sighed and knelt, pressing his forehead to the ground in a deep bow. I entrust the Senju clan to you. Clan leader. Senju Shikuma's eyes reddened when he saw the Senju clan leader bowing to someone else. He tried to help him up, but the clan leader shook him off. Uzumaki Jun was stunned. There's no need for this. No matter what, the Uzumaki and Senju. Before he could finish. I beg you. The Senju elders also knelt. Please. Uzumaki Jun sighed inwardly. He understood what the Senju clan leader wanted. Fine. Uzumaki Jun relented. In the name of the Uzashiagakure daimyo, I formally accept the Senju clan as citizens of Uzashiagakure. The Senju clan didn't want the long distorted old contract. They wanted him to make a new declaration in his own name. After hearing Uzumaki Jun's words, the Senju clan leader stood, tears in his eyes. Thank you. Then he turned to Senju Shikuma and said solemnly, by the authority of the current Senju clan leader. Senju Shikuma is hereby appointed as the next leader of the Senju clan. From this moment onward, all Senju must obey his commands. Clan leader. Senju Shikuma's eyes widened. Let me stay. I will fight for the Senju clan. As a member of the Senju, he couldn't bear to watch the clan march to their deaths while he lived on in hiding. Silence. Senju Toshiki's voice was sharp. From now on, you are the Senju clan leader. But seeing Senju Shikuma's tear-filled eyes, he softened. No matter what, you must protect the Senju clan. If the worst comes, then abandon the name Senju. Senju Shikuma was about to refuse, but seeing the hope in the clan leader's eyes, he choked out, I will restore the Senju clan's glory. He understood. From this moment, they could no longer bear the name Senju. And if the burden became too great, they would discard it just survive. Senju Toshiki patted Senju Shikuma's shoulder. You've worked hard. Then he looked at Uzumaki Jun. We trouble the Uzumaki clan. Ah! Uzumaki Jun sighed. It really isn't necessary. Uzushiagakuer can feed a few more mouths. In fact, they needed the Senju's earth-style ninjutsu for construction projects. No. Senju Toshiki shook his head firmly. The Senju are Konoha's Senju. We elders will remain here. From this moment, the ties between Konoha and the Senju are severed. Senju Toshiki smiled faintly, as if freed. I hope father will not blame me in the next life. But... Before he could finish. Clan leader, it's bad. A Senju clansman rushed in. The Iwanin have launched another full-scale attack. Chapter 183, Would Release. Konoha Year 32, End of June. Another incident that shocked the entire ninja world occurred. The Senju clan, one of Konoha's great clans that founded Konoha and produced the first Hokage and second Hokage, was annihilated by Iwagakuer while protecting Konoha. At the same time, when the Senju clan head was about to die, a jutsu that astonished the entire ninja world appeared on the battlefield. Would release, Advent of a World of Flowering Trees. Senju Toshiki awakened the first Hokage's bloodline limit, would release in his final moments. Hearing this news, the entire ninja world sighed in relief. Fortunately, Senju Toshiki perished together with the invading Iwanin forces in the end, otherwise Konoha might have gained another god of shinobi. It is said that the battlefield there has now turned into a forest. Would release. Noki looked at the intelligence report in his hand with shock and asked, is this confirmed? It is indeed would release, the Iwanin replied. Many people witnessed it, and that battlefield has now become a forest. Would release, Advent of a World of Flowering Trees. Hearing the Iwanin's confirmation, Noki sighed deeply. Back in the day, there were two overpowered abilities in the ninja world, the Uchiha's Manjiki Sharingan and the Senju's Would Release, which dominated the ninja world without equal. Fortunately, Hashirama Senju was a peace-loving fool person, and with Madara Uchiha restrained by Hashirama, the major villages avoided disaster and even received the legendary nuclear ahem, tailed beasts. After Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju died, their clans never produced these abilities again. So the ninja world no longer feared Konoha, but now. What is happening? Noki frowned and muttered. Both the Manjiki and Would Release have reappeared. Fortunately, the Senju clan head was also loyal to the village and perished together with the Iwanin while protecting the front lines. Though as Tsuchikage, losing so many Iwanin was painful, still. Better than Konoha gaining another god of shinobi. Pass down the order, Noki said after some thought. Continue the full-scale assault on Konoha. No matter what, we must take advantage of Konoha's weakened forces to catch them off guard. He refused to believe luck would favor Konoha again this time. Konoha. Would release. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the intelligence report from the shinobi below, so shocked he nearly dropped his smoking pipe. Raising his head in disbelief, he asked, is this confirmed? Did the Senju clan head truly awaken Would Release at the end? It's true, the Konohanin nodded. That battlefield has now turned into a forest. There's no mistake. Hearing the Konohanin's words, Hiruzen fell silent. After taking a puff of smoke, he said, tell the Konoha Advisory Council to come here immediately. Have them come right now for a meeting. Yes. The Konohanin acknowledged and left to notify them. Hiruzen stood up with his hands behind his back, sighing deeply as he muttered sorrowfully, the Senju clan teacher Ia. He didn't know what to say. The annihilation of the Senju clan was partly his fault, but he never intended for the Senju to be wiped out. It was just that Konoha was facing its greatest crisis since the village's founding, so he couldn't send reinforcements. Besides, the Senju were incredibly powerful. Hiruzen believed they could hold their ground, but never expected this outcome. Ah! Hiruzen shook his head helplessly. I hope Tsunade and the Waka can endure this. We're here. Uzumaki Jun looked at the office before him, his office in Uzushiagakuer. He hadn't taken them to the camp. Seeing the dozen or so remaining Senju clansmen with reddened eyes, he sighed inwardly and said, for now, Take these few days to familiarize yourselves with Uzumaki. Uzumaki is a nation governed by law. As long as you don't break the laws, you're free to do as you please. Thank you for your trouble. Senju Shikuma wiped his tears and bowed to Uzumaki Jun. I will make sure they don't violate any laws. Now that the Senju clan was under his leadership, no matter what, he would take good care of them. You seeing Senju Shikuma like this, Uzumaki Jun opened his mouth but ultimately sighed. Do as you wish. After all, aside from their abundant chakra, the Senju were no different from ordinary people. Senju Shikuma comforted his clansmen. Aside from him, the only remaining Senju were mostly children. So, he couldn't afford any mistakes now. Once his clansmen had calmed down, Senju Shikuma stood up and looked at Uzumaki Jun, hesitating as if he wanted to ask something. However, wood release was something I accidentally synthesized. Uzumaki Jun waved his hand. It has nothing to do with Lord Hashirama. In theory, wood release is the combination of earth and water nature transformations, but until now, no one had successfully replicated it. Most attempts resulted in lava release. As for his, of course, it wasn't synthesized. He obtained it through the system over the past few years. Why rely on yourself when you can use cheats? As for why he helped the Senju at the end, it was simply because seeing the Senju clan head ready to sacrifice himself moved him, so he used wood release to let the Senju depart without regrets. They used wood release to protect Konoha from the Iwanin in their final moments, successfully defending the village. Senju Shikuma stared at Uzumaki Jun in disbelief before sighing. Truly a genius. To synthesize even the god of shinobi's wood release. Wait, didn't that mean? Senju Shikuma widened his eyes at Uzumaki Jun, thinking in shock, does that make him the new god of shinobi? Uzumaki Jun seemed to read his thoughts and nodded with a smile. The rest is up to the Senju clan. Honestly, even without wood release, he could now defeat any cage or tailed beast. Uzumaki operates on the principle of to each according to their work, more rewards. So, go work. The construction team could really use an elite earth release jonin like you. Understood. Senju Shikuma nodded. The Senju clan will rise again through our own efforts. No matter what, as the clan of the god of shinobi, they had to maintain their dignity. The Senju didn't need to rely on anyone. Konoha. Meeting room. What do you think? Hiruzen Sarutobi clasped his hands under his chin, looking at the elder council before him. What should Konoha do now? This Koharu Udadan stared at the intelligence report in her hands, then raised her head in disbelief, fixing her gaze on Hiruzen. Teacher's clan is truly gone. As a student of the second Hokage, she couldn't believe it. She slammed the table and stood up abruptly, her sharp eyes glaring at Hiruzen. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't go this far? Hiruzen sighed. First, calm. That's right, calm down first, Dans also urged Koharu. Let's hear what Hiruzen has to say. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Hiruzen's eyelid twitched. Though his old friend was defending him, something felt off. I didn't do anything, Hiruzen said helplessly. The Senju clan sacrificed themselves for Konoha. They are heroes, all of them died protecting the village. Koharu sighed after hearing Hiruzen's words. We must immediately send shinobi to the Senju's former defensive line. No matter what, what's done is done. All they could do now was protect Konoha, so at least they wouldn't fail their teacher and the first Hokage. I've already arranged it, Hiruzen nodded. Seeing Koharu finally calm down, he continued, but just defending won't solve the problem. After all, Konoha wasn't strong enough to face this threat alone. Those smaller villages. Koharu paused here, then fell silent. The only solution now is to find the Manjiki user. If they destroyed one or two more villages now, it might provoke united retaliation, making things worse for Konoha. So that option was off the table. Ah! Hiruzen sighed deeply, then glanced at Dans, who was pretending ignorance, and said helplessly, pass down the order, retrieve the Senju's bodies, have Orochimaru reassign shinobi to defend the front lines, and suppress the news. Tsunade must not find out about this. And no matter what, Orochimaru must hold the line at all costs. However, hearing this, Koharu's pupils constricted again. You plan to? This is for Konoha. Hiruzen took a puff of smoke, meeting Koharu's gaze steadily. For the peace of the ninja world. That was would release. How did it manifest? If they could uncover the secret, then Noeki and Tsunade, the last survivors of the Senju clan, might. But this would depend on Dan's. Chapter 184, More Work, More Pay. Oh, are you new here? Toya looked at the black-haired, straight-haired man walking in and said, has the third batch of refugees arrived so soon? He remembered the second batch had just arrived a few days ago. Had something happened? How many people are in your group? Toya frowned as he looked at Senju Shikuma. Why are you the only one reporting? Or rather, why hadn't they gathered at the construction building this time? How many people? Senju Shikuma was momentarily stunned before replying, just me. The other children had all been sent to school by him. Just you? Toya was shocked. Did something happen in the land of rain? Had Uzushiagakuer stopped recruiting people? I didn't come from the land of rain, Senju Shikuma shook his head. I just arrived in Uzushiagakuer the day before yesterday. Yesterday, he had spent the day exploring the country and looking for a suitable job, only to realize that Uzushiagakuer had truly changed. Back then, he had led the Senju clan to aid Uzushiagakuer during the war, but they left after the conflict ended. He never expected that in just a few years, Uzushiagakuer would become so powerful. The people here all wore smiles he had never seen during times of war. It was truly unbelievable. Deep down, Senju Shikuma felt that this country without a hidden village might become even stronger. I'm here to find work, Senju Shikuma said, looking at Toya. Who are you? After visiting all the factories in Uzushiagakuer, he realized that only construction work could support so many children. Since Uzushiagakuer had no hidden village and relied mainly on trade, there were no missions to take. Only the construction team, with its more work, more pay policy, offered a chance to earn good money. Thankfully, the academy provided 3 meals a day. Otherwise, he would have had to borrow money. A bitter smile crossed Senju Shikuma's face. Who would have thought the once great clan of the god of shinobi would end up in such a state? Toya smiled at Senju Shikuma. A refugee. He sighed nostalgically. You're lucky. Uzushiagakuer is truly a paradise. Over the past half-month, due to his good work attitude, he had been temporarily promoted to squad leader of the 3rd construction team, managing over a dozen newly arrived refugees. I heard the construction team offers subsidies for shinobi. Senju Shikuma hesitated before saying, my name is Moku Shikuma. I'm a rogue shinobi. Rogue shinobi. Toya immediately grew wary, unsure whether to notify the police. Recently, Uzushiagakuer had been promoting safety awareness. Due to the war, other shinobi might try to cause trouble, so anyone who noticed anything suspicious could report it. If verified, they would receive contribution points. These were valuable for applying for Uzushiagakuer citizenship. Is something wrong? Moku Shikuma frowned when he saw Toya's sudden vigilance. What's the matter? Had his identity as a Senju been discovered? He tensed up, staring at Toya. The entire shinobi world believed the Senju clan had been wiped out. If word got out, both Uzushiagakuer and the Senju clan would be in trouble. Have you registered at the police station? Toya asked, his eyes never leaving Moku Shikuma. All foreign shinobi entering Uzushiagakuer must register. He wouldn't let anyone harm Uzushiagakuer. You mean this? Moku Shikuma pulled out a card. Someone had delivered it to him on his second day in Uzushiagakuer. Though he didn't know what it was, he had kept it with him. Uzushiagakuer citizenship. Toya's eyes widened in shock and envy. You just arrived. How do you have this? This is Uzushiagakuer citizenship. The very thing he dreamed of. Prince Jun gave this to me, Moku Shikuma said, puzzled. Is it special? No wonder. Toya's jealousy faded when he heard it was from Prince Jun. He nodded. So Prince Jun gave it to you. You must be an extraordinary shinobi. Otherwise, Prince Jun wouldn't just hand out citizenship. Moku Shikuma looked at the card in his hand and murmured, so this is important. Of course it's important. Toya frowned at Moku Shikuma's doubtful tone. This is Uzushiagakuer citizenship. For refugees like us from the land of rain. He went on to explain the significance. Under Toya's explanation, Moku Shikuma finally understood what it was. Like a forehead protector distinguishing shinobi from different villages, this card Even differentiated civilians. What an incredible thing. Don't you have one? Mokusha Kuma asked. I don't yet. Toya's face reddened, but he quickly said with determination, but I believe I'll earn it eventually. Let's not talk about that. You said you're here for work. Toya eyed Mokusha Kuma intently. A shinobi. If their squad had a shinobi, their construction speed would increase, and they might even compete with the older teams for rankings. The benefits for top teams were said to be very attractive. Yes, Mokusha Kuma nodded. Where do I need to report? No need. Just join my team, Toya said eagerly. I'll report directly to the supervisor. Do you know earth release? I'm skilled in earth and water release, Mokusha Kuma replied. Does that meet the shinobi position requirements? It does. Perfect. Toya nodded vigorously, wiping his mouth. A dual-natured shinobi. Now their squad really had a chance to compete with the older teams. Here, don't worry. No matter which team you join, it's the same. Toya quickly pulled out his notebook. The more you work, the more you earn. No one will withhold your pay, and shinobi subsidies will be paid on time. Mokusha Kuma took the notebook and filled in his information. When he reached the last entry, clan, he sighed and wrote none. Done. That's all. Toya took the notebook back, smiling. For the next 2 days, familiarize yourself with the work. I'll submit your details now. Wait. Mokusha Kuma stopped him, looking slightly embarrassed. About the pay. He had over a dozen children to support and no money left. As a Senju shinobi, he had never asked for money before. It felt awkward. Oh, you can advance a month's salary, Toya nodded understandingly. No need to feel shy. It's allowed. Most refugees had taken advances. Thank you, Mokusha Kuma took a deep breath. I appreciate it. No problem. We're all working for Uzushiagakuer, Toya grinned. One day, I'll earn citizenship too. Watching Toya leave, Senju Kuma smiled faintly and murmured, this country is truly special. Chapter 185, Please come with us. Land of Whirlpools. Police Headquarters. A ninja wearing the Land of Whirlpool's custom police uniform stretched lazily and said to his colleague, It's so late already. I'm heading off now. You've worked hard too, his colleague nodded with a smile. Your daughter must be pretty upset these past few days, not seeing you at all. No helping it. Work comes first, Sosuke sighed helplessly. Right now is a critical time for the Land of Whirlpools. We can't afford to slack off even a little. The higher UPS had given strict orders no accidents could be allowed during this period. Call me if anything happens, Sosuke patted his colleague's shoulder. We're all serving the Land of Whirlpools here. All right, get going already. The colleague laughed but didn't turn around, keeping his eyes fixed on the crystal monitors in front of him. If something happens, I'll holy shit, wait. However, before Sosuke could leave the surveillance room, his colleague suddenly shouted, someone's illegally crossing the border. Pakun JZ, you've been to the Land of Whirlpools before. You know the layout, so take a team and enter from the other side, a fat man with orange hair said to the rain nin beside him, who carried a large cleaver. This mission has to be fast. While that brat isn't in the Land of Whirlpools, we need to get what we came for quickly. Pakun JZ nodded, a cold smirk appearing on his lips as he replied indifferently, understood. Of course he knew they had to move fast. They had to retrieve the item before that brat found out and then leave immediately, because that kid could use space-time ninjutsu. He still remembered that brat's strength vividly. If they were discovered, things would turn ugly. Hoshigaki Fugaki checked the map in his hands and said, in that case, move out. This map had been purchased at a high price from a merchant, but it wasn't complete. It seemed merchants who came to the Land of Whirlpools were restricted in their movements and didn't dare to wander around freely. However, the shipyard was clearly marked after all, such a large factory by the coast was impossible to miss. But the defenses there seemed extremely tight. 2 teams. Muroto Jamin took a drag of his cigarette and sighed helplessly. These thieves really have the worst timing, coming to steal stuff so late at night. He had just gone to bed not long ago when he was notified that thieves had arrived. Do they think I don't have a temper when woken up? All right, Kamizuru said with a smile. Right now, we just need to catch them quickly. Nighttime is actually better, at least we don't have to evacuate civilians. Besides, who in their right mind would try to steal something in broad daylight? Didn't they know the land of whirlpools had strict inspections? My bees have sent back intel. They've split into 2 teams, Kamaizuru frowned. 2 of them are exceptionally strong. Figured as much, Miroto Jamin said irritably. Those 2 are carrying Kirigakuru's Kyubikaribch and Same Hata. If I'm not mistaken, they must be members of the 7 ninja swordsmen. In that case, should we inform Lord Jun to return? Kamaizuru asked. After all, these 2 are also 15 Jainin. Kirigakuru is really going all out this time, Miroto Jamin waved his hand dismissively. I've already informed the Uzumaki clan's leader. He said that if the land of whirlpools wants to grow stronger, it can't rely on just one person. Probably another test Lord Jun left for us, Miroto Jamin sighed helplessly. So we can't wait for Lord Jun to arrive. We have to handle this ourselves. If that's the case, Kamaizuru narrowed his eyes and said coolly, then let's. Hat. Miroto Jamin smirked. Don't worry. I've already arranged for the military to assist. It's just 15 people, right? We'll hit them with 50 against their 15. Damn. Kamaizuru gave Miroto Jamin a deadpan stare. I thought you were planning to flex on these intruders. Turns out. You could have said so earlier. No choice, Miroto Jamin spread his hands helplessly. We have to finish this quickly and minimize damage. Besides, our 2 clans. Hearing this, Kamaizuru also fell silent. Indeed, right now, they couldn't let the 5 great shinobi villages know they were still alive. Otherwise, the land of whirlpools would replace Konoha's position and take on the entire shinobi world alone. In that case, Miroto Jamin's lips curled into a faint smile as he said coolly, let's each take a team and move out. Stop. Pakun Jz suddenly raised his hand, signaling the ninja behind him to halt. He frowned as he surveyed the surroundings and said coldly, since you're here, why not show yourselves? However, after waiting a while, no one responded. Pakun Jz didn't dare to act carelessly. Anyone who had fought in the land of whirlpools knew how sneaky these Uzunin were. One moment of carelessness, and you could be blown to bits. Come out. Pakun Jz stared at the tree in front of him. If you don't show yourselves. Swish swish. He immediately hurled several kunao toward it. However. Whoosh. Suddenly, over 20 Jainin appeared. Pakun Jz's eyelids twitched as he realized they were surrounded. He cursed inwardly, they only had 8 Jainin. Did they really need to send so many people? And, looking at the middle-aged man in black clothes and a black hat standing before him, he had a feeling that this man was strong. What a shame, Miroto Jamin sighed, looking at the rice fields in front of him helplessly. You found us. I was planning to wait until you were farther away before making a move. After all, if a fight broke out here, these fields would be ruined. Miroto Jamin winced as he looked at the rice paddies, his heart filled with resignation. Looks like he'd have to ask that strict bastard for reimbursement again. Considering their outstanding debt. They hadn't even finished paying it off yet. If he went to ask for reimbursement now, there was no doubt he'd get chewed out. So Miroto Jamin really didn't want to see that guy always scowling like someone owed him hundreds of millions. Right now, you have violated Article XX, Section XX of the Land of Whirlpool's Constitution, for illegally crossing the border, Miroto Jamin said to the Kirinin with a serious expression. Additionally, we suspect you intend to cause harm to the Land of Whirlpools. Therefore, please drop your weapons and come with us. For questioning. However. Are you fucking kidding me? Pakun Jz stared blankly at the man in front of him. What was he saying? Drop their weapons? Was this some kind of joke? Move out. Seeing that they were surrounded, Pakun Jz knew the mission was a bust. He shouted, don't engage. Retreat. TCH, why make things difficult? Miroto Jamin sighed, then said, resisting arrest? Looks like you're asking for a labor reform in the Land of Whirlpools. So. Attack. Miroto Jamin narrowed his eyes at Pakun Jz and said coldly, dead or alive? Chapter 186, Who the hell is it? Damn. Seeing dozens of shadow clones suddenly appear before him, Pakun Jz's face immediately turned green. These Uzunin haven't changed at all. This kind of sneaky fighting style is truly disgusting. Especially since these shadow clones are also strapped with explosive tags. The ninjas of Uzushiagakure are truly the disgrace of the shinobi world. Watching the ninjas who followed him being taken down one by the Uzunin's underhanded tactics, Pakun Jz knew this couldn't continue. After all, if this keeps up, the losses will be too great. He might really have to defect from the village. I wonder how Hoshigaki Fugyuki is doing. Pakun Jz swung the executioner's blade and sighed inwardly. Probably not doing well either. How were they discovered? They had been so careful, moving stealthily through the trees after coming ashore. How did they get caught? Meanwhile, on the other side. Seeing this scene again, Hoshigaki Fugyuki had something he really wanted to say. This time, there were only about a dozen of them. Yet, Uzushiagakure was still using this tactic. Drop your weapons, and we'll spare your lives, a Uzunin said coldly. If you keep resisting, the consequence will be death. However, none of the Kirinin paid them any attention. As shinobi, they had long been prepared for death. But if they surrendered, that would mean betraying the village. And their families would suffer for it. Tch, what a pain. The Uzunin muttered irritably. In that case, don't hold back anymore. You're here. The clan leader smiled as he looked at Uzumaki Jun, who had suddenly appeared before him. That space-time ninjutsu of yours is really convenient. Clan leader uncle, why did you call me here? Uzumaki Jun asked curiously. It's the middle of the night. I was sleeping. Haha, I was worried something might go wrong, so I called you over, the clan leader said with a helpless chuckle. But it seems unnecessary now. Oh. Uzumaki Jun asked, intrigued. What happened? Kirinin sneaked into our territory, the clan leader replied with a smile. They've already been intercepted by Naruto Jaemon and the others. No major issues so far. Kirigakure. Uzumaki Jun murmured, stroking his chin. I didn't expect them to be the first to come. It seemed Kirigakure, being so far from the mainland, hadn't received the information he had secretly spread through Zetsu. That the airships were bought from the Akatsuki. I wonder if Kirigakure has recovered yet. A faint smirk appeared on Uzumaki Jun's lips. I hope they can still afford the ransom. With that, he activated the body flicker technique, intending to check the situation firsthand. If anything unexpected happened, he could step in immediately. In Uzushiagakure, the ninja battle couldn't be hidden from the civilians. The loud explosions shattered the night's peace. Panicked, everyone turned on their lights, got dressed, and rushed outside to see what was happening. Everyone, please remain calm. Do not panic, uniformed civilian police officers shouted. There are intruders in Uzushiagakure, but rest assured, we will protect your lives and property. Officer, who are they? A middle-aged civilian frowned and raised his hand to ask. We don't know yet, the officer replied, furrowing his brow. But they're likely ninjas from another village. Please stay calm and return to your homes. Uzushiagakure will protect you. Please trust us. But a young civilian stepped forward, about to volunteer to help, but they were just ordinary people. They couldn't interfere in a ninja battle. Even though night schools taught chakra control and basic self-defense, they stood no chance against even a genin, let alone a jonin. In the end, is there anything we can do? The young civilian sighed helplessly. No matter what, we are citizens of Uzushiagakure. If there's anything we can help with, just say it. That's right, that's right. The other civilians echoed loudly. We are all citizens of Uzushiagakure. Let us do our part. Everyone, please calm down, the officer urged. The situation is unclear. Please return to your homes and wait for updates. You've worked all day and must be tired. Go rest early. He understood what these civilians were thinking. They wanted to protect this paradise, the only peaceful place in the shinobi world. He felt the same, but they were just ordinary people. Uzushiagakure will be fine, the officer shouted. Go back and rest. Maintaining order is the best way to help. Naruto Jaemon, the chief of police, had ordered them to maintain order at all costs. There must be no chaos. Let's not make things harder for the officers, an elderly man stepped forward and said loudly. We should go back and not cause trouble here. Trust that Uzumaki will be fine. After some discussion, the crowd agreed. Since they couldn't help, staying here would only disrupt order. It was better to go home and wait. Watching the civilians disperse, the officer sighed in relief and turned to the old man. Thank you for your help, sir. No problem, no problem, the old man chuckled warmly. We are all citizens of Uzumaki. Maintaining order and protecting our home is our duty. He then gripped the officer's hand firmly, his expression serious. If there's anything we can do, just say the word. Of course, the officer nodded quickly. Now, please go back and rest too. Trust in Uzumaki. Everything will be fine. Meanwhile, elsewhere. Mom. Konan rubbed her eyes and sat up, yawning. What's going on? It's so noisy. It's nothing, Konan's mother patted her head gently. Go back to sleep, Konan. Just then. Knock knock. The sudden knocking made Konan's mother jump, and she instinctively hugged Konan tighter. Hello, is anyone there? A voice called from outside. We're officers from the Public Security Bureau. Intruders have entered Uzumaki. Please stay inside your home. Uzumaki will protect you. Hearing this, Konan's mother relaxed and called back, Okay, thank you for your hard work. No trouble at all, the officer replied. We serve the people. Listening to the officer's footsteps fade away, Konan's mother smiled reassuringly at her daughter. Go back to sleep. You have to wake up early tomorrow. She had no intention of leaving. Deep down, she believed she knew that Uzumaki would be fine. They would protect everyone. And no one wanted to give up this peaceful, happy life. Mom, are there bad guys outside? Konan frowned. They're so annoying. It's okay, her mother said, ruffling Konan's hair. Yes, they are annoying. But we'll be fine. Uzumaki will protect us. Uncle. Toto came downstairs and saw that his uncle was already awake, yawning as he asked, What's going on? Who was setting off fireworks in the middle of the night? And right over their fields? I heard ninjas from another village invaded, his uncle said with a frown. The officers just came by and told us not to go outside. We should wait patiently. Even though the noise sounded close to their home. Since the officers said so, they trusted them. But then. My experimental fields. Toto suddenly remembered something, and his drowsiness vanished instantly. Damn it! Boom! Pakun Jz dodged a kunao from the Uzunin and frowned at the sky. Thunder! Was it about to rain? Chapter 187, Dragging the Land of Whirlpools into the War. The events of last night did not cause much of a stir in the ninja world. After the Kirinin were handcuffed, they were sent to a labor camp that had been vacant for some time. It is said that Yu has been quite happy serving as the labor camp warden, gradually becoming a qualified and excellent propagator of red ideology. Of course. Once his son appeared, Yu's future became bound to the land of whirlpools. As for the previous batch of labor camp prisoners, it is unknown how they will fare after returning. There has been no news yet. If the education they received was successful, they might become powerful allies of Zetsu in the near future, bringing a new future to the ninja world. Of course. This has nothing to do with the land of whirlpools. The news has been suppressed, Naruto Jaemon walked in and said, looking at Uzumaki Jun, who was reviewing documents. What should we do next? Hearing Naruto Jaemon's words, Uzumaki Jun nodded, put down the documents, and said, secretly send a message to Kirigakure, telling them to pay a ransom to retrieve their people. Also, arrange for the ethics and political teachers from the affiliated academy to start classes for the Kirinin. Understood, I will make the arrangements, Naruto Jaemon said with a strange expression. He knew what Jun intended to do. Those specially crafted textbooks were something he had seen before. For this era, they were truly something else. Under this rote learning education, those Kirinin would probably be completely bewildered when they returned. The Kubikiribch and Samehata have also been confiscated, Naruto Jaemon formed a hand seal and said, how should we handle them? How to handle them? Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin, looking at the two swords on the table, and muttered, the land of whirlpools doesn't have any specialized sword-wielding ninja, does it? This was one of the land of whirlpools' weaknesses. Its taijutsu and kenjutsu were too lacking. Originally, genjutsu wasn't great either, but after the Shinoite clan joined, there was some improvement. As for Taijutsu, they still hadn't found a suitable candidate. Send the vigorously to the slaughterhouse, Uzumaki Jun sighed regretfully. With the population growth in recent years, meat consumption has also increased. Hopefully, this sword can make the slaughterhouse workers' jobs easier. Most of the meat in the land of whirlpools was still imported from other countries. There was no helping it, the land of whirlpools was small, and there wasn't enough land to expand livestock farming. Moreover, there were no specialized livestock raising ninja, so domestic production was still insufficient. Fortunately, the fishing industry was developing well, so meat imports weren't excessive. Also, have them cut off a section of the blade periodically. Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes at the vigorously. I've heard this sword can repair itself and restore stamina. The land of whirlpools was an iron-poor nation. As for Samehada, this was a living sword that could absorb chakra. Hand it over to the research institute. Perhaps the elders can discover something. Understood, Muroto Jamin nodded. But if Kirigakure pays the ransom to retrieve their people, what about these two swords? Kirigakure is only paying to retrieve their people, Uzumaki Jun waved his hand. They are not paying to retrieve the swords. Tell Kirigakure that each sword costs 1 billion ryo. If they want them, they can pay. If not, forget it. Trying to take the swords back? They must be dreaming. As for whether the 7 ninja swordsmen would be incomplete when sent to Konoha, what did that have to do with the land of whirlpools? Besides, Kirigakure probably couldn't afford it right now. Konoha battlefield. Damn it! Tsunade cursed angrily. Is the rakage that musclehead insane? Fighting non-stop, can't they take a break? If they couldn't break through the defense line, why keep sending muscleheads charging forward like madmen? How is the Senju clan doing? When her father took the entire clan to the battlefield, she had initially disagreed. Although Konoha's forces were spread too thin and the current war situation was unfavorable, sending 5 or 6-year-old children to the battlefield, she couldn't do it. But after her father's persuasion, saying that the Senju clan was Konoha's clan and should sacrifice for the village, Tsunade silently accepted it. After all, her grandfather and great-uncle had both sacrificed themselves for the village. Please, don't let anything happen. If something goes wrong in the end, Tsunade growled irritably, I swear I'll smash the old man's crystal ball. Did he really think she didn't know what that crystal ball was for? Jiraiya, that pervert, had already spilled everything after she beat him up. News came a few days ago, a Konohanin said. There have been no incidents on Orochimaru's side. That's good, Tsunade sighed in relief, muttering, where has that pervert Jiraiya run off to now? Why hadn't she seen him yet? Lady Tsunade, the Kumonin have launched another attack. Suddenly, another Konohanin entered and reported. The Kumonin commander demands that Konoha return the Manjiki and the stolen weapons. Return my ass. Tsunade flared up again. Yelling about it every day, aren't they sick of it? Prepare the defenses. Also, tell them Konoha doesn't have the Manjiki and didn't take any weapons. Yes. Orochimaru sighed helplessly as he looked at the map spread out on the table. The old man expects too much from me. With such meager forces, he was supposed to hold the line? That was a joke. Iwagakure was nothing like Kumigakure. The land of earth bordered the land of rain, unlike Kumigakure, which had to cross great distances to reach the battlefield. What a headache, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes at the map. What should I do? After learning that the Senju clan leader had awakened would release, Iwagakure had gone berserk, launching relentless attacks on Konoha's defense line. Although he had promptly deployed forces to reinforce the line, they wouldn't last long. The forces here were already stretched thin, and now they had to divide them further. What was the old man thinking? Wouldn't it be better to abandon that front temporarily and retake it later? Moreover, the Senju clan leader wasn't even here anymore. There was no way to hold the line. Iwagakure was probably launching such fierce attacks because they knew Konoha was short on troops. Lord Orochimaru, the intelligence has been delivered to Lady Tsunade, a Konohanin approached and said. As for the Senju clan's situation, we followed your instructions and did not inform Lady Tsunade. Thank you for your hard work, Orochimaru sighed, looking at the Konohanin. I hope Tsunade won't blame me when she finds out. How is the situation in the land of whirlpools? Still no fighting, the Konohanin frowned. I don't know what Tsunagakure and Omegakure are up to. They've just stationed troops at the border and taken no further action. Is that so? Orochimaru lowered his head to look at the map. Originally, he had planned for Konoha to deal with the other fronts first and then join forces with the Land of Whirlpools to eliminate Tsunagakure and Omegakure. But now, that seemed impossible. If the enemy is too strong, we must weaken them or drag the Land of Whirlpools into the war. Only by embroiling the Land of Whirlpools in the war and turning it into a free-for-all would Konoha have a chance to reverse the disadvantage. Chapter 188, May the World Never Know Hunger Again. Toto. Yutei patted Toto's shoulder and shook his head. Don't be sad. We've overcome so many hardships before, haven't we? Looking at the ruined farmland before them, he sighed. At worst, we'll just start over. Besides, didn't you electrocute all those Kirinin yesterday? But Toto raised his head but finally said helplessly, I've waited so long for this. By the way, I never asked what exactly were you planning to do with this farmland? Yutei asked curiously. You've been working on it for months. Was it some kind of precious crop? This was a task given to me by Lord Jun. Toto pulled out a book from his pocket, looking dejected. But now? Oh. A task from Lord Jun? What could it be? Yutei curiously took the book and saw written on it. Hybrid rice breeding and field experiments. May the world never know hunger again. Underground cave. Toby. A hoarse, aged voice echoed through the narrow rocky passage. Hey? Ah. A white figure with a swirled face, Toby, walked in holding a drawing. Seeing the white-haired old man, he said in surprise, Lord Madara, you're awake. Cough, why did it take you so long to come? Madara slowly opened his eyes, his gaze dim as he looked at Toby. What were you doing? Hearing Madara's question, Toby spread out the paper in his hands and held it up happily. Look at this, Lord Madara. I drew poop. Doesn't it look real? Why is this white Zetsu so different from the others? Did using Hashirama's cells cause a mutation? Madara stared speechlessly at Toby's excited face. You were just drawing. And it was poop? I was bored. Toby lowered his head dejectedly when he saw Madara's displeased expression. Lord Madara wasn't awake, and all the other Zetsu went out. No one played with me. Hearing Toby's words, Madara sighed. Indeed, being alone was too lonely. Seeing Toby like this, he unconsciously slipped into memories, a faint smile appearing on his lips. Back then, Hashirama always challenged me to see who could pee farther. Looking back, we must have been really bored. Then, noticing Toby staring at him intently, he immediately wiped the smile off his face and asked, Where has Zetsu been these past few days? Toby scratched his head, seemingly deep in thought, then clapped his hands. I heard them say they went out to start a business. Start a business? Madara frowned. What do you mean? I don't know. Toby scratched his head sheepishly. Zetsu didn't explain clearly. I see. Madara closed his eyes again. What about that Uzumaki brat? Oh, he's fighting in a war, Toby said. It's really dangerous outside right now. The whole shinobi world is at war. From what Zetsu said, Konoha seems to be suffering heavy losses. War has risen again. Madara murmured. Konoha. Back then, he and Hashirama founded Konoha to bring a glimmer of hope for peace to the shinobi world. Yet in the end, Madara chuckled bitterly and shook his head. Hashirama, I told you your methods wouldn't work. Then, he shakily stood up. One day, I'll make you see, make you understand. Madara's sharp eyes stared ahead as he said calmly, who is the one who can truly bring peace to the shinobi world? But then, Lord Madara, do you need to poop? Toby asked, seeing Madara standing. Do you need me to help you? You. Madara's imposing aura instantly deflated as he glared at Toby. When Zetsu returns, tell him to bring that Uzumaki brat here too. What's the matter, Lord Madara? Toby asked. Why do you need Lord Jun to come? Shut up. Madara snapped. Just do as I say. Fine, fine. Toby nodded fearfully. You said you're bored, right? Seeing Toby like this, Madara softened slightly and said helplessly, It's been a while since I've seen the outside world. Let's go take a walk. Really? Toby jumped up excitedly. With Lord Madara? Yes. Madara smiled faintly. Then he added, I'll rest for a few more days. When Zetsu returns, let me know. It's time to go out and see how the shinobi world has changed. Early July, year 32 of Konoha's founding. Uzushiagakure battlefield. Lord Jun. Uzumaki Kamaki bowed respectfully as Jun returned. As for the little red-haired girl beside him, looking around curiously, Kamaki had been momentarily stunned when he first saw her but quickly ignored her. Though he didn't know why Lord Jun had brought the Uzumaki clan's young lady to the battlefield. As a shinobi, it was best not to pry, lest he offend both of them. Has anything happened recently? Uzumaki Jun asked, noticing Kamaki's earlier expression. The number of refugees we've taken in seems much lower these past few days. That's right. Kamaki nodded helplessly. For some reason, Omegakure has also been rounding up their own refugees. Is that so? Jun stroked his chin thoughtfully. Seems like Hanzo is planning something big. No wonder he placed another large order with Uzushiagakure a few days ago. It seemed Hanzo wanted to quell Omegakure's internal strife and establish it as the sixth great nation. Jun and I'm going to find Kyoko-ne. Kushina, who had never been to a battlefield before, was curious about everything. But seeing that Jun was busy, she didn't want to bother him further and cheerfully said. Go ahead. Jun smiled. Kyoko-ne should be in the medical tent. But remember, always keep your kunao on you. Got it. Kushina happily ran toward the medical tent. I won't wander off. That girl. Jun watched Kushina's retreating figure and sighed. I hope you can stay happy, unlike in the original story, where in the end. Then, he turned back to Kamaki and asked after a moment of thought, what's the situation with Konoha lately? Not great. Kamaki frowned. According to reports, Iwanin have been relentlessly attacking Konoha. With the Senju clan's extermination, Konoha's defenses are stretched too thin, and they lack manpower. Seems Konoha isn't faring well either. Jun stroked his chin, deep in thought. How would Konoha resolve this? Or rather, how much longer would the Uchiha wait? Chapter 189, Let's retreat, retreat. Understood our mission. A Konohanin wearing a forehead protector looked at the others and said, remember, our mission is extremely important. If we fail, Konoha might be doomed. Captain, is this really appropriate? Another Konohanin frowned and said, no matter what, Uzushiagakure is here to help us. Silence. A shinobi only needs to follow orders, the captain said sternly. Moreover, this is a direct command from Orochimaru-sama. No matter what, we must complete it. Yes. Hearing the captain's words, all the shinobi responded seriously. Remember, just cause some disturbance at the Suna border and kill a few people. That's enough. Finally, don't linger. Retreat immediately. Only by dragging Uzushiagakure into the war will Konoha have a chance to win. Sai, what do you think of Orochimaru's plan? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe and said helplessly, Orochimaru said this is the most likely way for Konoha to hold the front line. But won't this be unfair to Uzushiagakure? Yudin Koharu frowned and said, after all, they helped Konoha fend off Tsunagakure and Omegakure. Although Uzushiagakure was just sitting at the front lines drinking tea and no actual fighting broke out, the fact remained that Suna hadn't launched an attack on Konoha all because Uzushiagakure diverted Suna and Aim's attention. And if this goes wrong, Konoha will be in even greater danger. Yudin Koharu looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said seriously, if Suna and Uegakure join forces, Orochimaru's forces won't be enough to hold off two major villages. Orochimaru has already considered that. Sarutobi Hiruzen showed a faint smile and said, he suggested shifting the battlefield downward. To here. He pointed at a location on the map. This way, the pressure on the front lines will ease significantly. This is. Yudin Koharu's pupil shrank, Uzushiagakure's defensive line. She looked up sharply and said, Orochimaru plans to. Yes. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, took a puff of his pipe, and said, stage a massive battle here. Then, he sighed. This is all for Konoha, for peace. Pfft. Uzumaki Jun spat out the water he had just sipped. He wiped his mouth and looked apologetically at Kamaki, whose face was now wet. Sorry. However, Kamaki wiped his face calmly, seemingly unfazed, and said seriously, unknown assailants attacked Suna's border, causing chaos there now. How many were there? Uzumaki Jun put down his cup and frowned. Did we identify which village they're from? Who would cause trouble at a time like this? Don't they know Uzumaki still has 2 months before withdrawing? Not yet, Kamaki shook his head. They just threw explosive tags and kunao before running away. This method sounded familiar. Uzumaki Jun suddenly slammed the table, narrowed his eyes, and said coldly, someone is trying to frame Uzumaki. Recall all Uzumaki troops immediately. We're going back. After all, not many refugees have been recruited these past few days. Time to retreat. As for Konoha, publicly announced that Uzumaki, having defended Konoha against Suna and Aim, has suffered heavy losses and can no longer continue. Therefore, we can only apologize to our longtime ally. Uzumaki Jun said regretfully, Uzumaki has done its best. Yes. Kamaki immediately responded. I'll arrange it right away. But what about Kai? Withdraw him too. Given the situation, Aim won't be safe either, Uzumaki Jun waved his hand. I'll send those 2 girls back first and inform Kai. 3 major villages plus the god of shinobi. I hope Konoha can hold out. Otherwise, they'll just have to spend more money buying weapons from Akatsuki. Uzumaki Jun sighed. Konoha hasn't even finished paying for the airships yet. I should tell Kakuzu to hurry up. Otherwise, what if Konoha runs out of money? Mission complete. Orochimaru looked at the returning Konohanin and asked, no issues, I hope. Mission accomplished, the Konohanin said. But all the explosive tags in the camp were. Don't worry. I've already requested more from the village. They should arrive in a few days, Orochimaru waved his hand and narrowed his eyes. I hope Konoha's loyal ally, Uzumaki the land of righteousness can stay safe. Strengthen surveillance on Uzumaki battlefield and monitor Iwagaku's movements closely. This time, only by shifting the battlefield elsewhere can Konoha win. Orochimaru gazed deeply in Uzumaki direction and murmured, the youngest Kage. How will you handle this? Or rather, does Uzumaki truly have the strength to survive in this chaotic world? And that idiot Jiraiya, is he coming or not? Achoo! Achoo! A white-haired man in armor sneezed twice, rubbed his nose, and muttered, who's thinking about me, the great toad sage? Could it be Tsunade? Jiraiya's eyes suddenly lit up. I've sneezed so many times these past few days. Must be all the beautiful ladies missing me. Seems I, the great toad sage, am still quite popular. Wahahaha. Jiraiya, is this the right way? The red toad beneath him puffed on his pipe and asked, you humans are so troublesome. Why start another war so soon? The old man sent me to the battlefield in the land of rain, Jiraiya sighed. As for war, who knows? By the way, what did the great toad sage say to you? Gamabunta asked while running. Why did he wake up again suddenly? Another prophecy? Not sure, Jiraiya scratched his head, puzzled. The great toad sage told me to be careful of a red-haired person. No idea what that means. But he also told me to bring him to Mount Maiboku. How strange, warned me about him yet asked me to bring him there. What is the great toad sage planning? Maybe the great sage had another dream. Gamabunta took a drag and said, but lately, he seems to be dreaming a lot. According to the old man, he keeps waking up from nightmares. Ha! Jiraiya laughed. How could he have nightmares? He's a sage. Who knows? Gamabunta sighed. Just focus on fulfilling the great toad sage's prophecy first. The child of prophecy. Jiraiya gazed into the distance and murmured, I hope he can truly bring hope to this world. Then, haha, I wonder if Orochimaru and Tsunade will be surprised to see how strong I've become. Do you think if I ride a toad descending from the heavens to save Tsunade, she'll? Chapter 190, Everyone, please evacuate in order. Mid-July, Year 32 of Konoha. Everyone, please do not panic, Uzumaki Kamaki shouted loudly. According to the arrangements, please board the ships in an orderly manner. Civilians will evacuate first, followed by the ninjas. Rest assured, our Uzumaki forces will not retreat until all civilians have left. So do not be afraid. Kamaki sighed helplessly in his heart. This was how wars began. Ordinary people were powerless and could only watch numbly. You there, the one raising your hand, what is the matter? A middle-aged man tremblingly lowered his hand. Feeling everyone's eyes on him, he mustered the courage to speak cautiously, I don't want to go. Can I stay? The entire area fell into silence. Kamaki stared at him with a dark expression and signaled to a nearby ninja. Hurry up and take him onto the ship, just take him. Still trying to refuse? No way. He had already memorized this man's face. Once they returned to Uzumaki, he would assign him to clean toilets for 10 years. Causing trouble at a time like this. How is the situation with Tsunagaku? Uzumaki Jun took a sip of tea and asked Uzumaki Hibiki. There shouldn't be any unexpected issues, right? A few days ago, he had sent the 3 girls back to Uzumaki. Kyoko was a bit unhappy she had only been here for 2 days and was already being sent back. However, because of the war, she didn't throw much of a tantrum. Tsunagaku has sent a message demanding that Uzumaki hand over the ninjas responsible for the attacks, Hibiki replied. Otherwise, they will declare war on Uzumaki. It seems that after the appearance of the Senjus would release, they can no longer hold back, Jun said with a sigh. Didn't they realize those ninjas were framed by another village? They were probably just pretending to be ignorant. After seeing Wood Release reappear, they couldn't wait to jump out and pressure Konoha. Even though the Senju clan was nearly extinct, weren't there still 2 left? Who could guarantee that those 2 wouldn't awaken it? No need to pay attention to Tsunagaku. We should be able to complete the evacuation within the next 2 days, Jun said. Keep an eye on the refugees and ensure no accidents happen during this time. Yes. Konoha Defense Line. Lord Orochimaru, Uzumaki airships have entered the defense line again, a Konoha Jonin reported respectfully. Meanwhile, Tsunagaku has also begun reinforcing their border troops. It seems Tsunagaku can no longer wait, Orochimaru said, narrowing his eyes. After observing for so long, they're finally joining the war. Konoha had been fighting other villages for half a year, while Tsunagaku and Omegakure had just been drinking tea at the border. They probably wanted to play the role of the fisherman. But, for Konoha's sake, you will join whether you want to or not, Orochimaru said with a faint smile. Has Uzumaki also started mobilizing troops? Yes, they have, the Konoha ninja nodded. According to intel, Uzumaki has dispatched 13 airships to the Land of Rain this time. Tisk tisk, Orochimaru licked his lips, his eyes gleaming. Uzumaki is truly wealthy. Iwagaku has also reduced their offensive, the Jonin added. The pressure on Konoha has lessened somewhat. Humph, Orochimaru chuckled lightly and shook his head. An alliance of the 3 great villages? How laughable. The 5 great villages each had their own agendas, how could they truly unite? As long as Konoha held on, the situation would eventually devolve into a free-for-all. But stay vigilant during this time, Orochimaru sighed. No matter what, we must hold out. Only by enduring will Konoha have a chance to win. For now, the plan was to draw Iwagaku, Tsunagaku, Omegakure and Uzumaki into a chaotic battle in the Land of Rain. That way, Konoha could muddy the waters and perhaps the situation would improve slightly. As for now, they could only wait. Once Uzumaki and Tsunagaku officially went to war, Konoha would have a chance to shift the battlefield northward. Lord Kazekage, why did you declare war on Uzumaki at this time? Cho frowned at the young man before her. Despite the unresolved investigation into Sandame's death, the council had ultimately allowed his disciple to become Kazekage. The 5-month period hasn't even passed yet. As for the attacks, both you and I know Uzumaki couldn't possibly be behind them. Indeed, I know Uzumaki wasn't responsible for the attacks on Tsunagaku, the Kazekage nodded calmly. But he stood up and looked at Cho expressionlessly. Tsunagaku can no longer afford to wait. Konoha has produced both the Manjiki Sharingan and Wood Release. Who can guarantee they won't produce more? So now was the best time to join forces with the other villages and pressure Konoha into surrendering the secrets of the Manjiki and Wood Release. Whether Konoha actually had them or not. Who knew? All they wanted was to ensure these powers never reappeared. Cho sighed after hearing the Kazekage's words. But compared to the other 4 great villages, Tsunagaku is. They lacked both funds and manpower. It doesn't matter, the Kazekage said indifferently. The weapons purchased from the Akatsuki have all arrived. Even ordinary people will be able to. Hearing this, Chiyo's pupils constricted. She stared at the Kazekage. I absolutely forbid such a thing. Those are just civilians, they should not be dragged into a ninja war. If Tsunagakure wants to rise, this is necessary, the Kazekage met Chiyo's gaze unflinchingly. As for not being involved? Ha! In times of war, who can remain untouched? Moreover, the Kazekage spoke to Cho word by word. I am the Kazekage. You. Cho was left speechless. No matter what, she was a Tsunagakure elder and his senior. How dare he treat her like this? Humph! You will regret this. With a dark expression, she stormed out of the Kazekage's office. Meanwhile, the Kazekage watched Cho leave with a cold smile. Still dreaming of having your genius son become Kazekage? Don't be ridiculous. While he was under investigation, she had been scheming behind his back. How laughable. Didn't she realize that aside from her and her brother, the other elders were all pro-Kazekage? The Kazekage narrowed his eyes, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. I've heard that boy named Sasori is also a genius. Toby, what are you doing here? Zetsu frowned at the figure lying on the ground, legs swinging idly. Aren't you supposed to be attending to Lord Madara? Oh, you're back. Toby jumped up excitedly at the sight of Zetsu. Lord Madara is resting. Only I. Ta-da! Toby proudly held up a drawing. I just discovered I have a real talent for art. Look, doesn't it look just like it? Like hell it does. Zetsu stared speechlessly at Toby's drawing of what appeared to be feces and decided not to engage further. This white Zetsu was clearly an idiot. By the way, Toby said regretfully, putting away his masterpiece. Lord Madara said to wake him up when you returned. What for? Chapter 191, Taijutsu Teacher. Compared to the battlefield in Kumagakure, the situation in the Land of Rain had suddenly become eerily quiet. In the past few days, the ninjas from the major villages had not launched any attacks. They seemed to be observing the changes on the battlefield in the Land of Whirlpools. Until finally, the 4 villages would join forces to launch a full-scale assault on Konoha. As for the Land of Whirlpool's defensive line, the last batch. Uzumaki Jun stretched lazily and looked at Uzumaki Hibiki, asking, do you want me to send you to the Land of Whirlpools first? In any case, he wouldn't be leaving with the airship. It was simply too slow, a round trip would take 4 or 5 days. He wasn't in the mood for a leisurely sky tour, and besides, he already knew the lightweight rock technique, so he could fly anytime he wanted. No need, Uzumaki Hibiki shook his head and said, I'll go with the airship. If anything unexpected happens, I can help. If that's the case. Uzumaki Jun nodded helplessly. Everyone was so motivated. Except for him. He was like a salted fish. Notify me if anything comes up. Uzumaki Jun said. I'll head back to the Land of Whirlpools first. Then, he immediately used the Flying Thunder God technique to return to the Land of Whirlpools. Currently, the Land of Whirlpools was also bustling with construction efforts. The only issue was the insufficient chakra reserves, which made it impossible to build a chakra power station to supply electricity to the entire country. For now, only streetlights and government offices had electricity. If there's really no other way, we'll have to resort to hydroelectric power stations. The problem was that the Land of Whirlpools lacked suitable water resources for building hydroelectric stations. Oh? Why are you here? Just as Uzumaki Jun returned to his office, he noticed the androgynous figure in front of him and asked curiously, has the branch company started operating smoothly? Had they already recruited people in just a few days? Not yet, Zetsu shook his head and said, following your suggestion, I started with the common people. Since it's wartime now, I've been slowly working among the refugees. To be honest, this method was quite effective. There were always people in the ninja world who longed for peace, so quite a few rogue ninjas had already joined. Oh. Uzumaki Jun looked at Zetsu curiously and asked, I haven't even asked about your organization's name yet. He was really curious. The methods he had taught Zetsu for overthrowing the ninja world system might snowball in a few years and pose a threat to other nations in the ninja world. The Rabbit Goddess Cult, Zetsu said calmly. A goddess who brings hope and peace to the ninja world. This name. Uzumaki Jun didn't even know how to react. Truly a filial son of 1,000 years. He was really going all out for Kaguya. But, aren't you afraid of the Sage of Six Paths Chakra wandering around the ninja world noticing something? What a great name! By the way, why did you come looking for me? Uzumaki Jun decided it was best to play dumb. Otherwise, if Zetsu realized he already knew his goals, something unexpected might happen. Lord Madara wants to see you, Zetsu said, nodding in satisfaction after hearing Uzumaki Jun's praise. Of course, mother's name sounded good. Hearing Zetsu's words, Uzumaki Jun froze for a moment and asked, now? Why would Boss Madara, who should be sleeping right now, want to see him? Was he planning something again? Yes, Zetsu nodded. It's best to go now. After all, you shouldn't keep Lord Madara waiting. All right, Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment and nodded. Then I'll trouble you to guide me again. Right now, he wasn't afraid of anyone. He might as well go see what the boss had planned. Land of Whirlpools. Research Institute. This is truly amazing. The Great Elder, along with a group of researchers, stared at Samehada and said, what kind of creature is this? It can actually absorb chakra. And it's picky. The researchers nearby also nodded and discussed among themselves, this unique method might give us some inspiration. Oh. The Great Elder walked over and asked curiously, I remember the Sky Ninja Village also had a way to absorb others' chakra. And it was forced absorption. Yes, Great Elder, a researcher from the Sky Ninja Village stepped forward and said, the Sky Ninja Village's Ugg Fortress and the Artificial Tailed Beast project used this technology. But in the end, another researcher shook his head with a bitter smile. They had just made some progress when the Sky Ninja Village was destroyed. It's fine, the Great Elder narrowed his eyes and said to them, researching in the land of whirlpools is the same. What bold words! Even artificial tailed beasts? If they hadn't been destroyed by Konoha, they would have been wiped out by other villages sooner or later. Tailed beasts were not something ordinary people could possess. I remember all the data was brought here, the Great Elder said cheerfully. Perhaps this same Hada can give us some help. Yes. Cave. You're here. Madara opened his cloudy eyes and looked at the red-haired boy in front of him. I'll have to trouble you. Are we leaving now? Uzumaki Jun nodded helplessly. On his way back, he had heard from Zetsu and Tobi that Boss Madara was tired of staying in the cave and wanted to go out for a walk. Probably because the living conditions in the cave were poor, the food was bad, and the lack of sunlight for long periods had given Boss Madara osteoporosis. He wanted to go out and sunbathe before returning. As for why he needed Uzumaki Jun to come? It was because Boss Madara was now so frail he could barely walk steadily and couldn't move around for long. Thus, he needed Uzumaki Jun's Flying Thunder God technique to take him outside. And with the war raging everywhere outside, if he wasn't careful, this true equal to the god of shinobi Madara might end up dead at the hands of some third-rate ninja. After all, even Uzumaki Mito, known for her longevity, was now confined to her bed, waiting for Hashirama to come for her, let alone Madara. Without Hashirama's cells and the demonic statue of the outer path, Madara would have died long ago. Where to first? Uzumaki Jun frowned and asked. It's chaos everywhere outside right now. Since he was playing the role of a ride-hailing service, he might as well be professional about it. Consider it respecting the elderly. Let's go to the land of whirlpools first, Madara said with a sigh, narrowing his eyes. It's been so many years since I last visited the land of whirlpools. Let's see how it's changed. Going to the land of whirlpools? Can I refuse? Suddenly having a big boss visit the land of whirlpools made Uzumaki Jun feel a bit nervous. But would the ideology of the land of whirlpools be able to change Boss Madara's mindset? Uzumaki Jun narrowed his eyes. It sounded interesting. Coincidentally, the land of whirlpools was short on taijutsu teachers, and Boss Madara's taijutsu was exceptionally strong. He could have him teach taijutsu at the academy. Given his advanced age, he'd only need to teach 2-hour classes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. As for the rest of the time, he could just rest and recuperate. All right, Uzumaki Jun said with a smile. Chapter 192, Big Trouble. Orochimaru looked at the map in front of him, a faint smile curling at the corners of his lips as he narrowed his eyes and murmured, this record should be enough, right? His teacher would likely help spread his achievements in Konoha, paving the way for him to succeed as Hokage after his eventual retirement. But now was not the time yet. Which was why he absolutely could not afford to lose this war. A sharp glint flashed in Orochimaru's eyes as he picked up a cup nearby and placed it on the map of the land of rain, smiling to himself. The war should beg. Big troop. However, before Orochimaru could finish speaking, a Konohanin rushed in frantically, shouting, "Lord Orochimaru, big trouble, big trouble." What happened? Orochimaru frowned, looking at the panicked ninja before him. Calm down and speak slowly. Had something unexpected occurred? The Sunanin have launched an attack. The Konohanin gasped for breath, pointing outside the tent. They've started their assault. Finally attacking, are they? Orochimaru smiled faintly. Just as I predicted. Tsunagakure and Omegakure couldn't hold back any longer. But the Konohanin wore an agonized expression. The situation isn't what we expected. Of course, the battlefield is ever-changing. I couldn't have predicted everything. Orochimaru replied calmly. No need to panic. As long as Tsunagakure declares war on Uzumaki, nothing else matters. However, the Konohanin looked as if he were constipated. Uzushiyagakure's army. They ran away. Hey! What did you say? In early August of the 32nd year of Konoha, Tsunagakure and Omegakure officially declared war on Konoha. As for their loyal ally, Uzushiyagaku, which had been holding the line against Tsunagakure and Omegakure for Konoha due to its small size and limited ninja forces, they could no longer endure. After suffering heavy casualties, they officially announced their withdrawal from the battlefield. Publicly, they claimed that Uzushiyagaku no longer had the strength to guard their allies' rear. Of course, the truth behind the situation? Perhaps only the ninja knew. Number $% and the usually kind-hearted old man, upon reading the newly delivered report, immediately burst into curses, even dropping his beloved smoking pipe. Uzushiyagaku has gone too far. Refund. Make Uzushiyagaku refund the money. Lord Hokage. At that moment, a Konoha Anbu appeared in the Hokage's office, bowing respectfully. Advisors Danzo and Koharu have arrived in the meeting room. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath, his expression calm as he picked up the pipe from the floor and nodded. Understood. You may leave. Yes. Then. His sharp eyes fixed on the report in his hand as he sighed softly. It seems a decision must be made. This is the place. Uzumaki Jun smiled. A 2-story villa should suit your needs. And here. A spacious balcony with a lounge chair. Boss Madara can lie here and sunbathe whenever he likes. Research in Uzushiyagaku shows that basking in the sun and smiling more not only extends lifespan but also promotes mental and physical well-being. It's so beautiful. Toby exclaimed, admiring the concrete house. And this he walked over to the finely crafted toilet. Now I don't have to go outside to poop. You don't even need to poop. Black Zetsu retorted irritably. None of us do. Ahaha. Toby scratched the back of his head, laughing. I was just making a comparison. This idiot. Black Zetsu gave up and decided to ignore him. The kitchen is fully equipped. Seeing the satisfied expressions on Madara and Toby's faces, June perked up like a third-rate salesman. South-facing, plenty of sunlight, surrounded by flowers in spring. All facilities are complete, just move in and settle down. And if you turn left outside, it's just a 10-minute walk to the shopping and food streets. Very convenient. So, boss, are you satisfied? Satisfied, satisfied. Before Madara could speak, Toby nodded eagerly. Compared to where we used to live, this is practically heaven. If you're satisfied, the rent is 50,000 RY per month. As for the deposit, June narrowed his eyes at them. We'll waive it. However, Madara suddenly opened his eyes, staring at June along with Toby and Zetsu. He, Uchiha Madara, had to pay rent? Don't get worked up, don't get worked up. June quickly placated them. This house embodies the hard work of many laborers. If it were free, they wouldn't get paid. Without wages, they couldn't support their families. Without support, they might starve. So, this is all for the sake of peace in the shinobi world. June glanced at Madara, relieved to see he wasn't angry. If possible, he'd rather avoid conflict with the boss, because he had never forgotten the noble virtue of respecting elders and cherishing the young. Of course, if you're short on funds, Uzushiyagaku also offers loan services. June sighed helplessly. This is Uzushiyagaku's policy: more work, more pay. Everything follows the law, and no exceptions are made for anyone. So, my apologies, Boss Madara. If you're broke, go get a job. However, Madara turned to Toby. Toby shook his head, looking innocent. Lord Madara, don't look at me. I don't have money. He had been living in a cave all this time, where would he get money? As for Zetsu, he didn't need money either. No need to eat, sleep, or deal with bodily functions. What would he do with money? No money, hey. Jun sighed. If you don't have money, then the only option is, I'll pay you in a few days. Madara said coolly. For now, I don't have it. Was Madara planning to send Toby to rob someone? Sorry, boss. Madara. Jun hesitated. Stealing and robbery are crimes in Uzumaki. I won't steal or rob. Madara's face darkened. He, Uchiha Madara, the man who once fought the world with only one rival, would stoop to stealing? In that case. Jun smiled. I hope you enjoy your stay. Oh, Toby, if you go out, remember to disguise yourself. With that swirl-patterned face of yours, you might get beaten up in the shinobi world. Hey! Toby tilted his head, confused, as he watched Jun leave. He was about to ask, but you should disguise yourself. Black Zetsu also sighed. Thankfully, you don't have the Manjiki. As for why, you'll find out later. However, Lord Madara, do you need me to? Zetsu looked at him. No need. I'll stay here for a while. Before Zetsu could finish, Madara waved his hand dismissively. I want to see what Uzumaki has become. Daring to demand money from him, Uchiha Madara? Did they think he was too old to lift his sword? And as for that brat, right now, there's probably no one in the shinobi world who can match him. Chapter 193, The Uchiha Clan Plans to Rebel. Mid to late July, year 32 of Konoha. We don't have enough troops. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of smoke and said gloomily, we must prepare. The situation on the Rain Country battlefield isn't looking good. But all active duty ninjas have already been deployed, Koharu Yudin sighed and said, apart from the ninjas needed for daily operations in Konoha, there are no other available forces left. Of course. There's still the Uchiha clan. Koharu Yudin looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, as for how to arrange them, that's up to you. The best solution now is to seek allies. However, upon hearing the suggestion to seek allies, Sarutobi Hiruzen's hand holding the smoking pipe trembled slightly. He said helplessly, which villages can even be allies with Konoha now? Thanks to the 3 Manjiki Sharingan incidents, Konoha's reputation was already in tatters. Coupled with the sudden appearance of Wood Release, it was unlikely any village would want to see Konoha produce another god of shinobi. What should we do about Uzumaki? Danzo asked with a frown. No matter what, we've already paid the deposit. Uzumaki was shameless. They fled as soon as war was declared. The fact that Uzumaki hadn't clashed with Tsunagakure and Omegakure in the past few months suggested there was some conspiracy at play. It seemed he'd have to send ninjas to investigate. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head helplessly. We've already issued a condemnation against Uzumaki, but there's little hope of success. Given Konoha's current situation, there was nothing they could do to Uzumaki. Moreover, rumors were spreading in the village that Uzumaki had done its best, that Uzumaki had suffered heavy losses for Konoha, that Uzumaki was a good nation. If they acted rashly now, Konoha's reputation would truly be ruined. To this day, Sarutobi Hiruzen still hadn't found the source of these rumors. But now he was certain. This was definitely Uzumaki doing. And we must stop the rumors, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. No matter what, we have to suppress the rumors in the village. Otherwise, how could they justify attacking Uzumaki later? I'll have Root assist, Danzo nodded. We'll definitely control the rumors in the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. Then, the current issue is how to resolve Orochimaru's situation. Facing 3 villages at once. If not handled properly, the front lines could collapse. How is Sakumo's situation? Koharu Yudin frowned and asked. Can we gather forces to support Orochimaru? He's also Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head with a bitter smile. The minor villages have formed an alliance. Sakumo's situation isn't looking good either. If they acted recklessly, it wouldn't intimidate anyone and might even backfire. TCH. Koharu Yudin sighed. What about Lady Mito? Have we asked her about Uzumaki? Perhaps Lady Mito had a solution? Ha, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face twisted into a helpless expression. Since last time, Lady Mito has refused to see me. She said that unless it's about the 9 tails, not to visit her anymore. Koharu Yudin frowned, feeling equally helpless. Clearly, the matter of the Jinkriki had left Lady Mito displeased. But no matter what. With Konoha in such dire straits, Lady Mito shouldn't just stand by and do nothing. Then the only solution left is Koharu Yudin narrowed her eyes and looked sharply at Sarutobi Hiruzen. The academy. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened. Those children haven't even graduated yet. They shouldn't be sent out like this. But it's the only way, Koharu Yudin said gloomily. Besides, the 6th year students should graduate soon. Most of the academy students are from Konoha's major clans. They've already received systematic training and can handle various genin level missions. Sarutobi Hiruzen fell silent for a moment before finally sighing, as if conceding defeat. He nodded. I'll leave this matter to you. No matter what, we must ensure the children's safety. They are Konoha's future. Understood. For some reason, Koharu Yudin felt a strange discomfort upon hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, but she still nodded. I'll make the arrangements. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction, then glanced subtly at Danzo before turning to the others present. In that case, Konoha is counting on all of you. No matter what. Konoha must emerge victorious. Uchiha clan. It seems we must prepare. The Uchiha clan head calmly stared at a specially crafted kunao on the table. When the village recalled all Uchiha members stationed outside, he knew. The Uchiha could no longer stay in Konoha. Father Uchiha Fugako looked at the Uchiha clan head with a trace of reluctance. Must we really do this? We have no choice, the Uchiha clan head shook his head, his expression unreadable. The moment the Manjiki Sharingan appeared, our path was set. The Uchiha clan had never been well treated in Konoha. With the reappearance of the Manjiki Sharingan, their situation had only worsened. Everyone feared the Uchiha's eyes. What about the clan elders? Uchiha Fugako hesitated. Some in the clan still side with Konoha. Especially the elders, most were ambitious individuals who wanted to return to Konoha's core leadership. But everyone was pretending otherwise. Did they really think that by dutifully performing their duties as police officers, the higher UPS would leave them alone? Unless the Uchiha clan never awakened the Manjiki Sharingan again, they would never be at ease. TCH. The Uchiha clan head sighed and stood up. Back then, when Madara-sama urged the clan to rebel and follow him, those old fools refused for the sake of their comfortable lives. But no one realized that only with Madara-sama in the Uchiha clan would no one dare to act against us. They were all fools. The Uchiha clan head lamented. The moment Madara-sama left, the Uchiha clan's fate was sealed. Yet some still don't understand. They crave a return to Konoha's core, dream of an Uchiha becoming Hokage, even. At this point, they still thought of seizing the Hokage position by force? What a bunch of idiots! The Uchiha clan head sighed and looked at Uchiha Fugaku. In the next few days, I'll arrange for some clan members to leave. You'll go with them. Father, Uchiha Fugaku quickly spoke up. I'm already a jonin. I can help. Silence. The Uchiha clan head said coldly. Your duty as clan leader is to leave here and guide the clan forward. As for the rest, none of it concerns you. Seeing Uchiha Fugaku fall silent, the Uchiha clan head sighed. Once you're there, follow the orders of Uzushiagaku's leader. Hopefully, the Uchiha can start anew. Chapter 194, I had no choice before, now I just want to be a good person. According to the investigation by the Anbyo clan, all the Uchiha have returned to the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat in the Hokage's seat, looking at Danzo in front of him. But recently, the Uchiha clan has not been fulfilling their duty of guarding Konoha properly. Most of the clan members have been staying at home. After the meeting ended, he had subtly given Danzo a look, asking him to come to the Hokage's office. After all, some matters. As the Hokage, the light of Konoha, he could not be directly involved. The darkness of the village had to be handled by the shadow. The Uchiha clan may be planning a coup, Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly, smoking his pipe. I heard there's been a lot of movement inside. Hearing such a clear hint from Hiruzen, Danzo stared at him speechlessly. Maybe they're just having a family gathering. They'll probably return to normal in a few days. Sigh. Hiruzen exhaled smoke and sighed. I hope so too. But during wartime, Konoha cannot afford any unexpected incidents. So, I have to trouble you to investigate what the Uchiha clan is really up to. Danzo, you've changed. You weren't like this before. You used to love Konoha so much. Whenever there was any threat to the village, you would act immediately without hesitation. Now, you're saying they're just having a gathering? You've changed. Right now, Konoha's Anbu are all out on missions, Hiruzen said, taking another puff of smoke. We can only rely on your root. Remember. What supports the great tree of Konoha from beneath is the vast, deeply rooted foundation. I'll have root investigate, Danzo said helplessly. But is this really necessary? No matter what, Konoha is the strongest among the 5 great shinobi villages. Do we really have to compromise? Did he spend all those years reading for nothing? If he tarnished his reputation now, how could he ever inherit the title of Hokage? So. Sorry, my old friend. There's no other choice now, Hiruzen said, exhaling smoke. The enemies Konoha is facing in this war are too numerous. If we don't resolve this quickly, the village will fall into even greater trouble. His gaze was clear as he looked at Danzo. Everything we do is for Konoha. For the peace of the shinobi world. If the Uzashio army hadn't suddenly withdrawn, Konoha wouldn't be in such a dire situation now. So. Make Uzashio return all the money. And the 3 airships Konoha ordered have the Akatsuki deliver them too. Sigh. Danzo sighed gloomily. He understood the crisis Konoha was facing. If things weren't handled properly, Konoha might cease to exist in the shinobi world. And then, his dream of becoming Hokage would be shattered. But before, I had no choice. Danzo raised his head, looking at Hiruzen with a gaze full of hidden regret. But now, I just want to be a good person. What the? Hiruzen cursed inwardly. You want to be a good person? If you become a good person, what does that make me, the Hokage? I understand you, Hiruzen sighed and nodded. No one else gets you, but I do. Everything you are doing now is for Konoha. Orochimaru didn't know if he should say this, but wasn't Uzashio supposed to be the righteous ally, Konoha's friend, loyal and honorable? Why did they withdraw their troops? What's the current situation? Orochimaru rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. Have the rain and sand villages started their attacks yet? His position as Hokage. How did it come to this? It's slipping away. He wondered what his teacher would do now. They've joined forces with the rock village to surround us, the Konohanin reported. The front lines aren't looking good, especially since the sand and rain villages have deployed a new type of weapon. Though its power isn't overwhelming, it can instantly activate jutsu. Oh. Orochimaru became curious. What does it look like? A new weapon? Who invented it? It's shaped like a glove, the Konohanin said. And it seems even ordinary people can use it. That's why the rain and sand villages suddenly have so many more shinobi. Hearing this, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Do we know where they got them from? If even civilians could use them, and if there were enough of them. Maybe Konoha still had a chance to turn the tide. After all, Konoha had plenty of people and money. We still don't know, the Konohanin shook his head. We've sent shinobi to investigate. But right now. The ninja smiled bitterly. We might not be able to hold out. Sigh. Orochimaru sighed and stood up. The only option left is to carry out an assassination mission. Notify Konoha we need Hitaki Sakumo's assistance here. No matter what, Konoha could not lose this war. And neither could he afford to lose. Uzashio. Konoha's airships are ready, Kakuzu walked in and reported to Uzumaki Jun. Should we deliver them now? Send them over, Jun nodded. Konoha must be struggling right now. We should give them some hope. If Konoha asks you for a refund later, just say the Akatsuki and Uzashio have no connection. Kakuzu rolled his eyes. No one can take money from me. Oh, right. The research department just submitted a funding request for chakra extraction experiments. Jun pulled out a recently delivered document, looking puzzled. What were you saying earlier? Kakuzu took the file and stared at him blankly. Nothing. I'll review it. If it's reasonable, I'll approve the funds quickly. He didn't dare delay the research department's budget. After all, scientific weapons and gloves were major sources of income. Then I'll leave it to you. Jun yawned and nodded. Take the price list for the scientific weapons too. It might come in handy. Understood. Kakuzu nodded. Once these weapons appeared in battle, many villages would likely want to purchase them. Should we raise the prices? No need, Jun shook his head. Business should be fair. We can't change prices daily. Besides, Konoha would probably place large orders. No need to hike prices. What if they ran out of money? Take a detour through the land of rain. Other villages might want to buy too. Jun smiled mysteriously. I wonder what Konoha will do now. Chapter 195, Tobi's Day, 1. Morning. It had been 3 days since arriving in the land of whirlpools. Tobi watched the people gradually emerging outside the balcony with a curious expression. Yesterday, he had asked Zetsu about it, and learned that these people woke up early to go to work. He heard that working could earn money. Tobi scratched the back of his head. If they earned money, they could pay rent, and if they paid rent, he and Madara-sama might be able to stay here permanently. There were soft beds and comfortable recliners here. If they could live here, who would want to go back? Over the past 3 days, Madara-sama had been lying on the recliner on the balcony every morning, silently watching the people outside with a dazed expression, staying there until they returned from work. He knew this wasn't good for Madara-sama. No matter what, as a product of the infinite Tsukuyomi, Tobi was aware of his mission. If Madara-sama developed other thoughts about peace, it would be bad. But Tobi knew he was different from the other white Zetsu. No matter what, he would always listen to Madara-sama. Tobi turned to look at Madara-sama, who was sound asleep beside him. How many years had it been since Madara-sama last slept lying down? He had always been sitting. Madara-sama, Tobi is going out, Tobi whispered as he approached Madara. Tobi will be back soon. He didn't know how Madara-sama planned to get money to pay the rent. Maybe they would still have to wait for Zetsu to bring the money? After all, Madara-sama was already old, even walking unsteadily. So, Tobi decided to go out for a walk today. After so many days without leaving the house, maybe he could find a way by going outside? Then, following Zetsu and Uzumaki Jun's advice, Tobi disguised himself as a young man with long black hair and happily skipped outside. Jun-sama, someone has come out of the house you asked us to monitor, Uzumaki Hibiki adjusted his glasses and said. A young man with black hair. A young man with black hair. Uzumaki Jun frowned slightly and muttered, that must be Tobi. Should we arrange for someone to follow him? Uzumaki Hibiki asked. No need, Uzumaki Jun shook his head. Let him have fun. Only then would Tobi understand the importance of money. Besides, surveillance. Even though Uchiha Madara was old, he wasn't someone ordinary people could monitor. With Zetsu around, it was better not to complicate things. Understood, Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. I will make the arrangements. If he looks for work, guide him to the Pre-Ninja Academy, Uzumaki Jun thought for a moment and said. But be careful not to make it too obvious. The Pre-Ninja Academy was established a few years ago for the children of working families. Since the land of whirlpools was undergoing large-scale development, many children who were too young to attend the Ninja Academy had to stay home all day waiting for their parents to return. No matter what, if this continued long-term, it would affect the children's physical and mental health. So it was better to send them to the Pre-Ninja Academy to learn basic literacy and patriotism. Ideological education was still the most important subject in the land of whirlpools. This didn't cost much, just a few literate teachers. Besides, Tobi's goofy personality was perfect for teaching children how to draw. He just needed to change the content of his drawings. Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki responded and immediately went to arrange the task. Is this the shopping street? Tobi looked curiously at the quiet street in front of him and muttered, there are so few people. But since he was already here, he might as well take a look. He just needed to return early to accompany Madara-sama in sunbathing. As Tobi stepped into the shopping street. Young man, why aren't you at work yet? An elderly woman called out to him with a smile. Are you on leave today? Work. Tobi walked over curiously and shook his head. I don't have a job. Ah, how can someone so young be so unmotivated? The elderly woman sighed. I haven't seen you before. Did you just arrive a few days ago? Yes, I just got here not long ago, Toby thought for a moment. 3 days ago counted as not long ago, right? A refugee from the land of rain. The elderly woman asked curiously. If you're from the land of rain, the land of whirlpools should have assigned you a job. Unless. The elderly woman looked at Toby warily. Did you sneak in? Have you applied for a temporary residence permit in the land of whirlpools? Sneak in. Toby shook his head in confusion. Is a temporary residence permit this? He pulled out the red booklet that Uzumaki Jun had given him and Madara-sama. Oh? So you're already a citizen of the land of whirlpools. The elderly woman's expression relaxed into a smile. Jun-sama must have given this to you personally. Otherwise, outsiders wouldn't have obtained citizenship in the land of whirlpools yet. Yes. Toby nodded. That little Jun-sama gave it to me. Haha, in that case, you should work even harder. The elderly woman laughed. Otherwise, without money, life in the land of whirlpools will be tough. Want a bowl of tofu pudding? She lifted the lid of the metal bucket beside her, releasing a fragrant aroma. This is a delicacy invented by Jun-sama. Pudding. Toby frowned at the bucket of milky white substance. What creature's brain is this big? Haha. The elderly woman paused, then laughed. This isn't a real brain. It's a delicious food made from soybeans. Want to try it? Toby stared at it hesitantly but ultimately shook his head. No, I don't have money. He hadn't even found a way to pay the rent yet. How could he spend money carelessly? Besides, he didn't need to eat. It's fine, it's on me, the elderly woman said cheerfully. Let me treat you to a taste of the land of whirlpools cuisine. Without waiting for Toby to refuse, she scooped out a bowl. Do you like it salty, sweet, or spicy? Sweet. Toby looked curiously at the bowl of tofu pudding in the elderly woman's hands. For someone who had never eaten anything since birth, the concepts of sweet, salty, and spicy were completely foreign. So, he just randomly picked one. Sweet, hey. The elderly woman nodded in satisfaction. Wait a moment. Soon. All done. She handed the tofu pudding to Toby. After eating, go find a job. If Jun-sama thinks so highly of you, you must be someone special. But in the land of whirlpools, everything follows the law. So, enjoy your meal. Toby blankly took the tofu pudding, feeling a strange sensation in his heart like when he was drawing. Very strange. He scooped up a spoonful, watching the trembling tofu pudding on the spoon, then gently placed it in his mouth. Instantly, his whole face scrunched up with delight. How is it? The elderly woman asked with a smile. Delicious, right? Yes. Toby opened his eyes and nodded, a smile on his face as he held the spoon in his mouth. So sweet. Chapter 196, Toby's Day, 2. Is that called tofu pudding? Toby scratched the back of his head. It's really delicious. Even though he didn't need to eat, the feeling of eating was still quite nice. Toby felt that he had already grown fond of this sensation. It had become his second favorite thing, right after his love for drawing poop. Where should I go now? After finishing the tofu pudding, Toby thanked the auntie and left directly. Looking ahead, he had no idea where to go. And the people here were really strange. Even though he wasn't going to work, why did someone come to ask him something every time he approached a shop? Maybe finding a job wouldn't be bad. Toby rubbed his chin and muttered. That way, Lord Madara wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. He could support Lord Madara himself. Hey, kid. Just as Toby was deep in thought, a middle-aged man nearby called out to him. Come here for a second. What is it? Toby walked over curiously. Help me out, will you? The man clutched his stomach. I have something urgent to take care of. Can you watch the shop for me? Do you need to poop? Toby looked at the man's stomach. What does pooping feel like? The man's face darkened. Was this kid some kind of weirdo? But... Gurgle. I'm leaving it to you. The man clutched his stomach and rushed out. The prices are all written on the tags. Just check them yourself. Gurgle. I'll be right back. The man left with a pained expression. Toby scratched his head in confusion. I can't read. And besides, did he really trust him that much? But seeing that the man had already left, Toby helplessly stared at the colorful items in front of him. What are these things? He picked up a red one and sniffed it. It smells really good. But eating things costs money. Toby tugged at his black hair in frustration. Finally, he sighed and put the item back, muttering, Lord Madara told us not to cause trouble. Just then, a blue-haired little girl walked in, followed by an orange-haired boy and a red-haired boy. 5 strawberry-flavored and 5 orange-flavored candies, plus 3 lollipops. Candy. Toby looked at the 3 children and scratched his head in confusion. What's candy? Instantly, all 3 children looked at Toby with pity. The orange-haired boy sighed and said, he doesn't even know what candy is. How sad. Idiot. The little girl retorted bluntly. He's the one selling candy. Of course he knows. He's just messing with us. Maybe he's new here. The red-haired boy rolled his eyes. This guy obviously isn't the usual fat shopkeeper. Then, that's so pitiful. All 3 children looked at Toby with sympathy. Toby stared at them speechlessly. The shopkeeper stepped out. I'm just helping out. Do you want to wait for him to come back? We have class soon. The orange-haired boy looked at the blue-haired girl. Should we come back after school? No. The girl crossed her arms and shrieked. After school will be too late. What do you think, Nagato? Me. Nagato scratched his head. I don't care. Besides, Mom says eating too much candy will give you cavities. That's why I'm only buying 3 lollipops. The girl said matter-of-factly. 1 for you, 1 for me, and 1 for Yahiko. What about the rest? Nagato asked curiously. There were still 5 strawberry candies and 5 orange candies left. Those are all mine, of course. Konan declared. Yahiko and Nagato exchanged glances, then reluctantly nodded in surrender to her authority. How about we just take the candy, give him the money, and have him pass it to the shopkeeper? Yahiko suggested, looking at Toby. Yeah. Konan's eyes lit up. She nodded. Let's do that. Nagato, go get the lollipops. Why me? Nagato wanted to refuse, but under Konan's gaze, he sighed and nodded. Fine. Then, you have to give this to the shopkeeper, okay? Konan carefully took out the money and eyed Toby warily. Don't run away, or the police will come after you. Got it, got it. Toby nodded helplessly. I'll give it to him. Hearing Toby's confirmation, Konan nodded in satisfaction. Then, she took out a red candy and handed it to Toby. This is for you. This is what candy is. With that, she happily left with Yahiko and Nagato. Toby looked at the candy in his hand, then at the ones on display. So this is candy. He popped it into his mouth. Instantly, his eyes brightened. This is so sweet and delicious. And this flavor? Is this strawberry? Toby smiled slightly. Lord Madara would probably like it. He glanced at the pile of candies. I wonder what the other flavors taste like. But no. Toby immediately turned away. Lord Madara said not to cause trouble. Just as Toby was debating whether to secretly take a few. Thanks for your help. The shopkeeper returned, smiling warmly at Toby. Had a stomachache from breakfast. Toby sighed. Seems like he was too slow. He handed the money the kids had given him to the man. 3 kids came by earlier to buy candy. Here's the money. Oh, was it Konan and the others? The man nodded understandingly. He took the money, then grabbed a handful of candies and wrapped them in paper. These are for you, as thanks for watching the shop. For me. Toby stared blankly at the candies being handed to him. A strange feeling welled up inside him. Yep, just some candy. The man smiled. Take it. Consider it your payment. This Toby scratched the back of his head and grinned foolishly. Thank you. Where did Toby go? Uchiha Madara lay on the recliner on the balcony, basking in the morning sun. Why hasn't he come back yet? He had known Toby left in the morning. Though he wasn't sure why Toby went out, considering how diligently he had taken care of him all these years without ever stepping foot in the outside world, Madara didn't stop him. What an interesting country. Uchiha Madara watched the people working in the distance and sighed. But this peace won't last long. Only the infinite Tsukuyomi, as described on the stone tablet, could bring lasting peace to the shinobi world. Yet as he watched the laborers toiling away, their faces filled with happy smiles, Madara's lips unconsciously curled into a faint smile. He stared blankly at the working people. Maybe I should go out and see. Just then, Lord Madara, I brought you something delicious. Chapter 197, The Will of Fire. Lord Orochimaru, let's retreat. A Konohanin shouted loudly. We can't hold this position. There are too many enemies. If this continues, we might all die here. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, looking at the defensive map before him, and sighed inwardly. Against absolute strength, any strategy is useless. We cannot retreat, Orochimaru said with a sigh. If we retreat, we'll reach the border of the Land of Fire. Why did they set the battlefield in the Land of Rain? Wasn't it to minimize the risk of war reaching the Land of Fire? But the Konohanin hesitated but decided to speak up. We will die. There's no need for meaningless sacrifices. With Konoha facing 3 major villages and a Megakure, there's simply no hope. A moment of silence. Isn't this what shinobi are? Orochimaru said with a distant look in his eyes. Sacrificing ourselves to protect. September, year 32 of Konoha. Has the academy been properly arranged? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe and looked at Koharu Yudatan before him. No matter what, you must ensure the safety of the children. They are the future of Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up, clasped his hands behind his back, and walked to the balcony. Looking down at the children with smiles on their faces below, he said with a smile, where the leaves dance, the fire burns bright. The flames will continue to illuminate the village, allowing new leaves to sprout. The youth will eventually become the pillars of Konoha's future. Everything has been arranged, Koharu Yudatan nodded and said. But there's one issue that requires your decision. War inevitably brings death. Now, all she can do is ensure the front lines take extra care of these children. What is it? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. You must understand that Konoha cannot afford any mishaps right now. Has some clan refused to cooperate? Noeki also wants to go on missions outside the village, Koharu Yudatan said helplessly. His teacher is being driven mad by his persistence. Didn't I say that under no circumstances are those 2 allowed to leave the village? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. This is simply reckless. That girl isn't causing any trouble, Koharu Yudatan shook her head and said calmly, looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen. But we promised Lady Mito to let her have a happy childhood. I am acting according to Lady Mito's wishes, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe and said helplessly. Those who have experienced war yearn for peace more than anyone else. Perhaps staying in the village is what she truly wants. As for Noeki, would release Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes showed a trace of confusion. Finally, he sighed and said, send him to Orochimaru. Perhaps the fall of the Senju clan will awaken his potential. Koharu Yudatan's eyes widened upon hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words. Finally, she sighed and said helplessly, I will arrange it. At any rate, Tsunade and Noeki are the last of the Senju clan in Konoha. I hope you won't go too far. Ah! Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand. I'll have Orochimaru look after him. Would release. Perhaps Konoha can produce another god of shinobi. Mid-September, year 32 of Konoha. Due to Konoha's dire situation, advisor Koharu Yudatan proposed to the Hokage that most students of the Konoha Shinobi Academy graduate early and enter the battlefield. This was to alleviate Konoha's current issue of scattered forces. That same afternoon, the Hokage personally visited the academy to apologize. He also encouraged the students, making them understand that they were Konoha's future and that they must prioritize their safety. He also spoke of the will of fire. Instantly, it ignited the dreams of countless children aspiring to become Hokage. Konoha battlefront. This absolutely won't work. Orochimaru frowned as he looked at the allied forces of the 3 villages in the distance. He knew that if things continued like this, the defensive line would eventually collapse. Konoha's shinobi are too few in number. Even he, the commanding officer, had to personally enter the battlefield. This showed just how severe the situation had become. They're attacking again. Orochimaru sighed as he saw the enemy forces launching another assault. Order the troops to hold their positions. No matter what, we must defend this line. Yes. Land of Whirlpools. An elderly man with grey hair walked slowly along the road, leaning on a cane. Uchiha Madara was curious about everything in the land of whirlpools. What was it that allowed the civilians and shinobi of this country to coexist peacefully, without any barriers between them? The constitution of the land of whirlpools. Madara murmured. What a strange thing. Toby had gone to work early in the morning. He heard it was at some place that took care of children, called a daycare center? But the owner of that daycare must be an idiot. Madara shook his head helplessly. Otherwise, why would anyone hire someone who only knows how to poop to teach children how to draw? Uchiha Madara looked at the trees around him and murmured, I've walked quite far. He remembered this place was near the farmland of the land of whirlpools, an undeveloped mountainous area. Time to head back. Madara glanced at the setting sun and sighed. Toby should be getting off work soon. If he didn't see Madara, he'd start panicking again. However, just as Madara was about to turn and leave, he suddenly stopped. Frowning, he turned his head and looked deep into the forest. This disturbance. Who could it be? We can't hold on, Lord Orochimaru, a Konohanin said with grief. Let's retreat. The Hokage will understand. Silence. Orochimaru's eyes turned icy as he glared at him. If you spread panic among the ranks again, I'll kill you. But the Konohanin, who had been about to say more, sighed inwardly upon seeing Orochimaru's expression. He shouted, Yes, sir. However, Orochimaru also knew the situation was truly dire. A bitter smile appeared on his face as he murmured, It seems I'll really die here this time. He hadn't even begun to uncover the secrets of life, the mysteries of immortality. There were still so many things he hadn't done yet. Where the hell is that idiot Jiraiya? Orochimaru's face twisted with frustration. If he doesn't come soon, Konoha will. But before he could finish. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded across the battlefield, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. Instantly, the eyes of everyone on the battlefield were drawn to it. Finally here, hey! Orochimaru's lips curled into a smirk. Soon, the dust settled. I, the gallant Jiraiya, have arrived. Achu. Which lovely lady is thinking of me? A white-haired young man in armor stood atop a giant toad, rubbing his nose with a lecherous grin. Jiraiya, maybe you should look at the situation first. The giant red toad below him took a puff from its pipe and said helplessly. This is a battle F. Before it could finish. Kill him. Instantly, every shinobi except the Konohanin charged at Jiraiya. That idiot. Orochimaru face-palmed. What a complete moron. Chapter 198, I will earn money to support you. 1899. A black-haired boy supported himself with one hand on the ground, murmuring. 1900. Still 100 left, 1901. The boy continued his physical training, murmuring, I wonder if training like this will let me graduate. Then, a silly smile appeared on his face. Hehe, seems like I haven't been going to school at all. How could I graduate? He didn't notice the old man standing behind him leaning on a cane. Madara quietly watched Shiro training in front of him, a cold smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. This world ultimately belongs to the talented. A bloodline limit, a pair of eyes, might instantly turn a genin into a jounin, even a kage. In Madara's eyes, he could clearly see this boy had no ability to perform ninjutsu. Such a person basically had no hope of becoming a ninja. Because taijutsu lacks staying power. Even someone like him who had fought across the world, a taijutsu genius, still needed to combine ninjutsu to dominate the ninja world. So, give up, kid. Madara said coldly. You can't become a ninja if you can't use ninjutsu. Who? Shiro did a backflip and stood up, but seeing it was just an old man who needed a cane to walk, he relaxed his guard and said cheerfully, Old man, why aren't you home so late? He really was old. Madara was silent for a moment, then shook his head. Don't mind me. Taijutsu has advantages early on, but lacks staying power. Someone who can't use chakra will at most become a genin. Plus Madara glanced at the training marks around and knew this kid had been persistently training here for a long time. Intense long-term training will severely damage your body. In the future you might not even get the chance to use a cane. Hehe, I know. Shiro scratched the back of his head. Aniki Kita told me this too, but... Lord Jun said. Shiro's face showed determination. If you give up on yourself, then there really is no chance. I believe I will become a great ninja. You, a ninjutsu failure, actually believe what a genius who became Kage at 7 said? Madara suddenly felt a stomachache. Was this kid an idiot? Do as you wish. Madara shook his head and decided to say no more. He only had one wish left in his heart. To bring true peace to the ninja world. Everything else had nothing to do with him. Just as he turned to leave leaning on his cane, waiting for Toby to come home and cook, Madara heard the training sounds resume behind him. He sighed inwardly. Back then, he and Hashirama trained like this too, very late. At that time, the Senju and Uchiha were still enemies. But the only difference was, they were both geniuses, while this foolish boy was just trash. But Madara turned to look at the still training boy and said helplessly, "You're not using your strength correctly. Orochimaru, tell me why you did this." Jiraiya grabbed Orochimaru's collar and roared. "You actually challenged 3 ninja villages. And damn it! 2 of them were from the 5 great ninja villages. Do you think you're the god of shinobi? Let go." Orochimaru looked at Jiraiya with a bitter smile. "I didn't provoke them. Didn't you hear anything when you returned? This is what happened." Hee. After listening, Jiraiya let go, embarrassed. "When I got back to Konoha, the old man immediately sent me here, so I didn't pay attention." Then he looked around. "Where's Tsunade? Did she see how cool he looked just now? She must be shocked. Because he, Konoha's dead last, had gotten strong." "Tsunade isn't here?" Orochimaru asked curiously. "Isn't she at the Kumo front?" And Orochimaru looked at Jiraiya's silly happy face, hesitating whether to tell him. "Tsunade already had a boyfriend? Forget it." Orochimaru sighed inwardly. "Let him be happy for a while longer. Besides you, did the old man send any other reinforcements? If not, they really couldn't hold out." Though Jiraiya had indeed gotten stronger, having one more or less of him made no difference now. "She's not here," Jiraiya said regretfully. "I don't know either. I came as soon as I heard you were in danger. Just didn't meet Tsunade." Jiraiya rubbed his forehead helplessly. "But now it seems even I'm in danger." Hearing this, Orochimaru smiled faintly, then immediately hid it, saying calmly, "Konoha has too many enemies now. Without reinforcements, we can only Uzashiagakur. La la la." Toby waved at some kids while heading home. Madara-sama must be getting impatient. First day at work, Toby felt pretty good. Except the supervisor wouldn't let him draw poop, everything else was fine. Very happy, so many kids played with him. When he was with Madara-sama before, no one played with him. Zetsu was always out wandering, and even when around wouldn't play. Toby touched the money in his pocket. "Now I can pay the rent." Madara-sama wouldn't need to worry about money anymore. He, Toby, would earn money to support Madara-sama. Arriving at a nice 2-story house, Toby opened the door. "I'm home." Pfft. Uzumaki Jun wiped tea from his mouth, putting down the cup, looking incredulously at Uzumaki Hibiki. That old man went out. Only a few days and Madara couldn't stand staying in? Jun hadn't told anyone who lived in that house. After all, the name Uchiha Madara was quite frightening. Yes, he wandered around aimlessly. Hibiki nodded. He seemed very interested in the working people. Jun understood. Madara's later life was spent striving for peace. Though his ideas were ridiculous. But his passion for peace was undeniable. Probably why he observed Uzashiagaku's civilians. Wanting to understand how they coexisted peacefully with ninja. What's he doing now? Jun shook his head helplessly. Originally he most wanted to recruit Madara. As one of the previous generation's top talents, Madara's ninja knowledge was excellent, perfect as an academy professor. But ended up recruiting Toby, not Madara. Wonder if Toby had it hard supporting them? Jun's face showed a strange expression. When Zetsu found out about Madara and Toby's changes, he'd probably rage. Hibiki pretended not to see Jun's odd look, adjusting his glasses. "He's at Shiro's training area now. As for specifics, following your orders, we didn't send anyone to watch closely." Chapter 199. "I'm heading out." Uchiha Madara wiped his mouth with a napkin after finishing his meal, then stood up with the help of his cane. Recently, the food had been bought by Toby from outside, since neither of them knew how to cook. Living in a cave for so long, who needed culinary skills? Now that they were eating normal meals again, it was really. He had gained 2 pounds. Moreover, the food at Uzushiagakure's canteen was quite good. Even Toby, who didn't need to eat, had started enjoying the food. Madara-sama, do you need me to accompany you? Toby asked while cleaning up. Lately, Madara-sama had been going out every day and returning very late at night. Where exactly was he going? Don't you have work today? The elderly Madara asked, leaning on his cane. It's a day off today, Toby scratched the back of his head. It's the weekend, so most workers in Uzushiagakure are resting. He wasn't entirely sure what this day off meant, but the supervisor had told him he didn't need to work today and could rest. Ridiculous. Madara's face twisted in anger. Ninjas actually get a day off every week. Ah, but Madara-sama, most of them are ordinary people, Toby explained. I heard this rule was set by Lord Jun. However, unreasonable, absolutely unreasonable. Madara paused for a moment, then shook his head and walked out. At the door, he turned back to look at Toby. Since that's the case, you can rest today. Toby watched Madara's retreating figure and scratched his head, muttering, but I don't feel tired at all. Still, since Madara-sama didn't want him to follow, then. What should I do now? Toby frowned. He had no idea what to do. Normally, during this time, he'd be underground working on his art. Now that he was free, he didn't know how to spend his time. Should he go draw? Maybe Toby's eyes suddenly lit up as if he had thought of something. I'll go to the shopping street again. They were out of candy at home, especially the milk candies Madara-sama loved. He should go buy some. And maybe see if there was any tofu pudding left. That soft, delicate food was perfect for someone like Madara-sama, who didn't have teeth. Work starts at 7 am and ends at 10 pm, with 1 day off per week. Uzumaki Jun suddenly felt like a ruthless capitalist. This schedule was even harsher than 996. Fortunately, the people of the ninja world wouldn't curse him for it, they'd even be grateful. If this were his original world, his employees would have roasted him alive. Thankfully, people in the ninja world generally have strong constitutions, Uzumaki Jun sighed. Otherwise, they'd have died from exhaustion long ago. Right now, Uzushiagakure had no choice but to enforce such hours due to the severe labor shortage. Increasing working hours was the only way to boost production. As for Uzumaki Hibiki's suggestion to cancel days off, Uzumaki Jun outright ignored it. After all, he was still a kind-hearted person at his core. That old man has been going to Shige's place every day and hasn't wandered around elsewhere, Uzumaki Hibiki said, checking his notebook. Should we summon Shige for questioning? No need, Uzumaki Jun smiled faintly. As long as nothing unusual happens, leave him be. Perhaps this was Shige's opportunity. There was no need for him to interfere. Who knew? Maybe there'd be a pleasant surprise. As for whether Shige might be tricked by Madara into becoming a terrorist, Uzumaki Jun wasn't worried. After all, both sides of the law were under his control. At worst, Shige would just be transferred from headquarters to a branch. Understood. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded. Lord Jun's meaning was clear, continue ignoring the situation. Though he didn't fully understand why, as a ninja with a strong sense of duty, he didn't press further. Checking his memo, he added, the Research Institute has made a new discovery. The Elder hopes you'll visit. A new discovery. Uzumaki Jun stroked his chin thoughtfully. What could it be? Had they made progress in chakra extraction? Uzumaki Jun's eyes lit up. He turned to Uzumaki Hibiki and said, I'll head over now. Perhaps. Uzushiagakure was about to enter a new energy era. Old man. Shige had just opened a can of meat when he saw Madara arrive again. He greeted cheerfully, have you eaten? Over the past few days, under this old man's guidance, he had learned a great deal about taijutsu. Before, he had been figuring things out on his own. After all, Uzushiagakure's taijutsu research was. Shige sighed inwardly. Uzushiagakure lacked strong taijutsu specialists, so he was deeply grateful to this old man for teaching him. Kid. Madara looked at Shige's attitude and nodded approvingly. The kids in Konoha were so unlikable, all fawning over Hashirama. Didn't they know Uchiha Madara was also a kind-hearted person? Why did no one in Konoha like him? You're eating this? Madara glanced at the pile of canned food beside Shige and frowned. Taijutsu users need several times hundreds of times more nutrients than others. If you eat this while training intensely, your body won't keep up. Don't end up weak at such a young age. I'm used to it, Shige said. Kita Nii is on duty today, so I'll just make do. Old man, want some? He pulled out a can with a cow printed on it. Beef stew my favorite. Just heat it up a little, and it tastes even better. Want to try, old man? Uchiha Madara glanced at the can and smirked disdainfully. Back when he was the leader of the Uchiha clan, was there anything he hadn't eaten? Especially during his travels across the ninja world with Hashirama to collect the tailed beasts, they'd sampled all kinds of delicacies. The only problem was neither of them knew how to cook, so well, let's just say the results were less than ideal. I have no interest in. Before Madara could finish, the heated beef stew released a rich, tantalizing aroma. Ahem. Madara cleared his throat and said calmly, since you're offering, I'll humor you. What exactly was in this thing? It really did smell amazing. Madara sat down beside Shige, eyeing the kin warming over the fire with curiosity. I just ate, so why am I hungry again? Uzushiagakure's specialty braised beef. Shige carefully picked up the heated kin and sighed. This is the last one. Then, he handed it to Madara. Here, try it. He smiled warmly at Madara. Thank you for teaching me these past few days. Humph. Madara snorted. My teachings are worth far more than a mere can of food. He took the kin, picked up a piece with chopsticks, and slowly brought it to his mouth. His eyes immediately narrowed in satisfaction. It's really. Chapter 200, What does that old woman want to do? Nawaki. Jiraiya looked at the group of elementary school students in front of him and said helplessly, who sent you here? What was going on? He clearly remembered that Nawaki should still have one more year before graduation. Why had he suddenly come to the battlefield? Even if he had graduated, he would only be a genin. Shouldn't he be sweeping garbage or catching cats in the village? What was this all about? It was arranged by Uncle Hokage, Nawaki said with a proud expression. I'm already a genin now. Is the old man crazy? Jiraiya looked at Orochimaru, and the two of them exchanged glances. Why did he send a bunch of kids here? What use were these kids on the battlefield? Especially now, when they were facing two of the 5 great shinobi villages in Omegakure, which was led by the demigod of the shinobi world. Were they here to feed themselves to the enemy? Orochimaru also frowned slightly, then smiled at Nawaki and said, Tell your big brother Orochimaru, what happened in the village? Ah! Nawaki scratched the back of his head, seemingly unsure how to explain. It seems Aunt Kohara said that because the war isn't going well, we were allowed to graduate early and sent here to help. What is that old woman doing? Jiraiya's face darkened with displeasure as he said angrily, what does that menopausal hag want? Aren't she afraid of getting beaten up when Tsunade finds out? In a few days, I'll arrange for someone to send you back. This isn't a place for you, Jiraiya said, patting Nawaki's head. You're still too young. Stay in the village where it's safe. Orochimaru also nodded in agreement. Forget about whether these kids could be of any help if they didn't cause trouble, it would already be a miracle. And even if they were sent to the battlefield, they would just be cannon fodder. Not to mention, if Tsunade found out, he and Jiraiya would be finished. I'm already a shinobi, Nawaki said unhappily. I can help. TCH. Jiraiya smirked. An early graduate genin. What use was that? I was originally planning to help Jiraiya Nii chase after Tsunade, Nawaki said, seeing Jiraiya's disapproving expression. But now I think that gentle, handsome blue-haired guy might be a better match for her. Hey! Jiraiya froze when he heard Nawaki's words. What did you say? What gentle, handsome blue-haired guy? Kukiku. Orochimaru forced an awkward smile and rubbed Nawaki's head, quickly saying, Stay here for a few days. We'll see how things go before making any decisions. The current battlefield really wasn't suitable for these kids. Humph. Nawaki snorted at Jiraiya and took out a letter. This is for you from Uncle Hokage. Hey, wait a second, Nawaki, Jiraiya called out urgently. What's this about the gentle, handsome guy? But Nawaki left without looking back. Serves you right for looking down on me. A letter? Orochimaru frowned as he looked at the letter in his hand. Why would the old man write to him now? Was there some new arrangement? But the front lines weren't looking good at all. He opened the envelope directly to see what it said. What's going on? What did the old man say? Although he still hadn't figured out the situation, there was no point in overthinking it. He could just ask Tsunade later. Jiraiya said in a complaining tone, what are those village advisors even doing? Sending a bunch of kids to the battlefield. The old man Orochimaru finished reading the letter and smiled bitterly. If Tsunade finds out about this later, she'll probably beat us to death. Tsunade the violent princess. Orochimaru really didn't want to provoke her. What exactly does it say? Now Jiraiya was even more curious. He snatched the letter and read it, then suddenly looked up at Orochimaru with wide eyes. Is the old man out of his mind? So, we still can't forcibly extract chakra. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin as he looked at a strange device in front of him, something that resembled a blood-drawing tube. You just created this by studying Samehada's chakra absorption ability. Yes. The elder said with a smile. Science is truly full of incredible knowledge. Originally, we were researching how living creatures forcibly extract chakra from Samehada. But in the end, we ended up creating this. The life extractor. A device that can forcibly extract life energy. Truly amazing. Uzumaki Jun said with admiration. But what's the use of this? He remembered that Kyoko, due to her special Uzumaki constitution, had overflowing life energy. Biting her could heal injuries, but the principle was also absorbing her life energy. To some extent, it would harm Kyoko's lifespan. So later, Uzumaki Jun told her not to let others bite her arm anymore. Through several experiments, the elder said with a smile, we discovered that the extracted life energy can be transferred to other animals. It can heal injuries, extend lifespan, or enhance physical constitution. That powerful? Hearing the elder's words, Uzumaki Jun was stunned. If this were true, couldn't they achieve immortality by continuously extracting life energy? Not possible. The elder seemed to guess what Uzumaki Jun was thinking and shook his head. There seem to be limitations. Long-term injections aren't feasible. I see. Uzumaki Jun felt a little disappointed. Looking at the extractor, he asked, can it work across species? All the creatures we've tested so far have been compatible, the elder nodded. As for humans, we haven't conducted experiments yet. In that case, Uzumaki Jun nodded in satisfaction. It seemed the researchers had taken his words to heart, avoiding human trials until the product's safety was confirmed. He said with emotion, looks like clinical trials will begin soon. Should they use Kirigakure prisoners? Or just grab a few terrorists from outside? And let's call it the Vitality Enhancer. Uzumaki Jun rubbed his chin and said, if it's harmless to humans, we can dilute it 10,000 times and sell it to other villages. 10,000 ryo per bottle, 100 bottles per course, 3 courses for guaranteed results. No results? Then it's your constitution's fault. Maybe drinking a few more bottles will help? That's how all health supplements work. We'll arrange clinical trials as soon as possible, the elder said with a nod. But the test samples are still insufficient. They only had a dozen or so middle-aged Kirigakure prisoners. The limitations were too great. Perhaps Uzumaki Jun stroked his chin and suddenly thought of someone. Extract a few bottles for me. A mysterious smile appeared on his lips. It's time to give Toby some benefits. What would happen if old Madara took it? Would his back stop aching, his legs stop hurting, and he could walk without a cane?
Thanks for listening.